Hello everyone, how are you doing? Hi Paul, hi Michael, great to see you as always. Do you know what, in this countdown I've just been on a bit of a mad rush to close everything down. I totally didn't go into this live stream. Oh hi Jeff, great to see you as well. I didn't go into this live stream the way I normally do. So normally I'll do my one button press and it opens everything up and resizes everything. But for some reason today, I'd got things in a very similar position. And so I thought I'd already done that, but I hadn't. So I realized I'd got a whole load of applications open in the bottom, a whole load of background processes going. So I've just been quickly shutting them all down. But anyway, great to see you all. And I managed to do it just in time. I also had my keyboard, my foot pedals mapped to something different as well. So I had to go in and change that over to be my my live stream mapping of my foot pedals. I don't know, the things we have to deal with, eh? Great to see you, Jeff, and Michael. Obviously, I've got some comments that have come in before I started, so I can't put them up. But yeah, the Ecamm Fam Jam, I don't think there is one today. It was Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday was what was scheduled. So so yeah, that isn't happening today. But we'll have to sort of iron out a proper regular schedule for that, I think. So yeah, and I'll be running some, and I think, you know, the idea was that people in other time zones would be as well. And oh, hi James. Well, that's a lot of pressure now, isn't it? What foot pedal am I using? Right, I'll come on to that. I did do a video about this, actually, surprisingly enough. It is just a generic one, actually. Let me find out which one it is. Look at this. I'm getting derailed already. I'm terrible for this. I let myself be derailed. They are, let me go into my Amazon. Oh, hey Todd, how you doing? Oh, it's coming up to your season. I don't know if you know, but I put my Christmas tree up before my last live stream, so the kids absolutely love it. So I know it's a little bit unorthodox, but hey, I'm sure I'll get your approval. Let me have a little look where my foot pedals are. They were somewhere around here, but they're really good actually. And it was a little experiment. I am thinking of getting another couple of sets of them actually, and then doing a bit of a hack with them and changing the spacing and various different things like that. They're really useful for a lot of things. So, like for example, if I just stick a, did you indeed? Well, there you go. That just shows what a professional you are and what a professional I'm not too. Do you know? I never actually do the search function in the text, but. There you go. Well, I will come back to it. I'll just be busy working away, bringing it up in the background, Paul. But thank you for that. Well, that's it. They do, and I mentioned this on the last stream. So we had this unexpected bonus this year, where Thailand, which had been in not lockdown, but they were making it really difficult for people to visit here. They sort of decided. Like at literally a week's notice that as of the 1st of November, they were going to open up for anybody to come as long as they'd had COVID test before they arrive and various different things like this. Whereas before there was like 2-week quarantine in, not ideal quarantine locations and stuff like that. So anyway, it meant that my parents can come over for Christmas. So they're coming for 2 months. So the kids are just super excited about it. But anyway, let me get back to the Ecamm Fam Jam, and I will come back to the foot pedals question. Thank you, Paul, for for putting that in with a Q colon. Yeah, so I think we're going to get a sort of regular schedule together and have them in different locations. I really love them. I mean, you'll see them posted in the Ecamm group going forward, and it's basically just a Zoom call where we all get together and get some work done, basically. The idea is it's to help those who are maybe feel like they don't have the time to do stuff, and so it's sort of removing that excuse, saying, well, let's just designate this particular time where you can come. And I mean, I don't know what the actual original scheduled time is for the calls, but I mean the last one was about 2.5 hours that I was on, and then other people carried on for longer. The day before, I think I was on for 3.5 hours or something like that. So it's just basically focused work time, really. I'm noticing a trend. I'm noticing a trend that although they are ostensibly set up to help people who maybe have been making excuses and haven't been making the time, and it's making that time for them. It is just still the sort of action takers in the group, if you like, that seem to be turning up. So that probably will continue a little bit going forward. But it is a great way to just sort of, I don't know, there's something quite nice about just getting on with your work and being in the company of other great people. So yeah, I really like it. That's yes, of course. Yeah, yeah. It's all Christmas for me. So what about this week? Well, it's another one of those weeks. I'll just stick up my. I've just realised I haven't got my little background border on. Never mind. It's not really an issue, to be honest. Come to that one. There you go. It hasn't got my border. I might just drop the border altogether because I'm not sure it's entirely adding anything of value with just a picture of me in the screen in any case. But it does just screw up my linings and my little other overlay. So I'll think about that later. I'll probably have another redesign of my thing in the new year. All of my overlays and stuff like that. Adrian does one of those as well, does he? Is that like does he do a Zoom group? That's great. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I wonder what the time is. So that's probably a bit more convenient for you as well, Jeff, in the UK, because the Ecamm Fam Jam ones, which Doc's coined that term for them, they are, for me, they're 7:00 in the morning. So that would be, obviously, with the time change, that would be, is it 1 a.m. now or midnight? Midnight for you, wouldn't it? So yeah, probably not ideal. But let's just have a quick look at my stats. Not a lot of movement since last week, as you may have noticed. So only 2 more videos this week, so 158, and we're on day 193, so still 30, nearly 40 videos behind, 35 videos behind. I'm not worried about it. I've got some little tricks up my sleeve for that, though, so don't worry. And then, subscribers. I actually had probably my slowest week in this week, so I think only what was it, 20 some odd or something like that, whereas a couple of weeks ago it was basically going up by 10 a day. So that's just down to my lack of posting, I'm sure, this last week. But I've been busy in the background, as I say, working on a couple of things, so that's what I'm going to be talking about today. And yeah, you can also blame Chris Tim for some of the videos not being posted this week, because he sent me down another rabbit hole. So yeah, I won't go into all the stats and that, because, as I say, they haven't really gone up much this week. So but what I have been doing is basically three things. So first of all, I've been preparing for Vlogmas, and I've had to go back to the drawing board a little bit with that. And oh, hey Doc, great to see you here as always, your friendly face. So yeah, I got to go back to the oh, and by the way, Doc, I'm also of the same opinion. We should scrap daylight saving time, and we don't change it here in Thailand either. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. This last couple of months has just confused me, because nobody does it at the same time. Anyway, if everyone just did it, but did it at the same time, that would be great. But it's everyone seems to be doing it on different days depending on where they are. So yeah, total waste of time. Yeah, in fact, they call it daylight saving, don't they? Time, but it's not actually saving us time, because it ends up screwing up all of our systems and things like that. But yeah, Vlogmas. So I had got this idea, because I've got this my new iPad Mini that I'm really in love with, to be honest with you. I'd sort of fallen out of love with the iPad, because since they weren't updating the Mini for so many years. But this one is just, I'm back to it again. It was the same sort of feeling I had when I got the original Mini, when that one first came out. I've noticed that in a few occasions, but you're forgiven. Yeah, I just really love the Mini with the pencil. And by the way, Doc, I got the Paperlike covering for it. It's just awesome. It really does add that thing, because I never really took to the pencil when I got the very first iPad Pro with the pencil. There was always that thing of the feeling was just a bit too slippy for me. But the Paperlike really does make it feel a lot more like sort of writing on the screen. And somehow as well, when your sort of palms moving across the screen as well, it's got that sort of sound to it, almost like pencil on paper. And I always tend to write in pencil when I'm designing or notes or things like that in any case. So it's got that real sort of paper-like feel to it, hasn't it? So I'm really enjoying taking notes on the iPad. But one of the things, my plan basically for Vlogmas was that I was going to film it all on the iPad, and then edit videos on the iPad, and then upload it to YouTube to be sort of like all iPad sort of thing. But then Ecamm announced that they're doing the Vlogmas this year, and they're going to be, people can post the videos in the group and stuff like that, and there'll be a bit of involvement going on there. So I thought, well, you know how much I love Ecamm. I should definitely get involved in the Ecamm side of things. And so it's kind of scuppered my plans a little bit, because obviously I'm not going to go into the Ecamm group and just post something that has not used Ecamm at all, because there's no point filming videos on an iPad, editing them in. I was going to use Adobe Rush, because I've got that as part of the Adobe suite anyway. So don't worry, Greg. It's not for the channel. It's just for Vlogmas. It was just something to stretch me, really, because I need to do something that's a challenge, and posting videos every day. Well, that's what I've kind of been doing as part of this challenge. So I wanted to do something that was different. And my whole thing is I hate editing. So I thought, well, if I do some editing, then that's going to be a bit of a challenge for me. By the way, I got this as part of the Leap into Live. I won this little iRig Miccast, and it's a little microphone, and you can either have it. It's got two what do they call them? I'm blanking now. Diaphragms, is it? Excuse me. One facing one way and one facing the other. So you can clip it onto the top of it sticks onto the top of my iPad, which is currently in a stand. But it, basically you can either have it sort of directional, so it's just taking from one side, or it can be from both sides, or from the the front or back, basically. I'm really impressed with the sound quality of it. It actually feels quite weighty for the tiny little side of it, and it just basically magnetically clips onto your phone or your iPad or something like that. As I say, my iPad's in a stand. Let me just quickly pop it off. Here we go. So it just basically snaps like that onto the back, and then it's got a cable, obviously, that plugs into the USB-C. But it's really good quality sound to my mind, compared to if I've done the side-by-side with just the sort of, obviously the built-in mic's not going to be too great on the iPad. But it made me think that I could actually use this for doing stuff a little bit more than just little videos and stuff like that. So that was my plan. But with Ecamm now doing the Vlogmas, I'm going to sort of change tack a little bit, and I will try and by the way, so the point of my Vlogmas videos was going to be I was going to do something that was a bit more kind of I suppose a bit more about my background and stuff like that, other stuff that I use Ecamm for example. So I suppose that would be Ecamm themed, but and then also just sort of out and about, so that I'm not just in my my little green screen studio, and show some people some other aspects of the sort of stuff that I do really, and how I use these things that I talk about on my channel as well. And so that was my my thought process. So what I'll probably do is I will probably do some filming on my iPad, because I do want to give that a go. I will probably do the editing on my iPad, but I'll sort of use Ecamm as well to sort of to add some extra things to that as well. So that's going to be my new Vlogmas plan. So yeah, this week I've been spending my my YouTube time, which is usually a couple of hours a day. So that I've been using for that. I've also gone down this rabbit hole that was sent down by Chris Tim, as I mentioned. And just quickly, hey Dale, I've always got to say hello to you, because you've got the same name as my son. what a great name. And so yeah, so Notion is the little rabbit hole that I've gone down. And just one second. So I'll just answer this because I was on Vlogmas. You don't have to. You can stream into the Ecamm group. You don't have to. You can do it to your Facebook page, and then just post the videos as well. And it can be live or it can be recorded. So I am actually going to do mine all recorded, and then I'm going to post them to my YouTube channel, and then I will be posting links in the relevant thing. I don't know how they're going to work it in Ecamm, whether there will be a specific post per day or something, and everyone can post them in the comments or something like that. I'm not entirely sure about that. I'm sure we'll get some more information in due course. But I'm certainly just going to record mine rather than live. I'm going to record them, and I'm going to post them to my regular channel. And so be it. So I know some people are talking about concerns about, is it going to mess up your channel or anything like that, but I'm not bothered. I'm just going to post it there. The idea is it is intended for people who watch my regular stuff anyway, although it will be different. It's just kind of, I suppose it's just a way to sort of get to know me a little bit better, really. That's what I'm doing. I'm sharing different aspects of what I do outside of the channel, really. So yeah, that's the answer to that question. But yeah, so Notion, and there's another couple of things as well with the iPad. I've gone down the note-taking apps on the iPad, and I had a look at obviously Apple Notes, because it's just built in. There's loads of things that I don't really like about that. In terms of just a general note-taking app with the pencil, it is great for just being able to, you can just tap on the screen, even if the screen's locked. You tap on the screen and a note just pops up straight away without even unlocking it or anything like that. But then I looked at Notability, which I know is a really popular one. And the thing that's great about that is you can actually record while you're taking notes. And then if you go back to your notes and you just sort of tap on a particular place on the written note, it will play back what was being said at the time. So I can see how that's great for if you're in meetings or in lectures or things like that. Then yeah, it's great for that. But the reality is, I don't actually do a lot of note-taking like that in situations where it would be picking up the sound. I'm either these days on a Zoom call with headphones in, or I'm just taking notes where I'm not really fussed about having the audio. So although that isn't like a sort of killer feature, as they say, it's probably not that actually that valuable to me. And so I looked at Notability, and I downloaded that, and I downloaded all of the some add-ons that you can get for it and stuff like that. I did give it a good run for its money. But then I also looked at the other one was Good Notes that I looked at, and basically Good Notes is hands down the winner for me. There's just it just sort of seems to work better with my my workflow. I like more of the tools that you've got in it. It is cross-platform as well. So oh hey Rich, always nice to see you here. So yeah, it's I just think that Good Notes for me is definitely a better fit. So I've just basically transitioned over to that now. I've done a sort of rapid test over the past couple of weeks, and yeah, Good Notes is definitely the winner out of all that. And yeah, there's loads of great resources on it online in any case, but I will be doing a little video comparison between the two, because I think that they are generally sort of the the market leaders, if you like, in note-taking apps. There's loads of other ones, by the way, but yeah, those are definitely the top two that people always seem to land on. And I think part of it is just down to personal preference, really, the way it works with you and the way that your thought processes work and things like that, because they are a bit different in the way that they lay things out in terms of like organization of notes and stuff like that. So yeah, GoodNotes is definitely my iPad note-taking app, because I do still like to do written notes as well. I've got my little archive of my notebooks, so I always use these. I've always got a few of them around. These are Baron Fig notebooks, and yeah, I've always used these, or ever since they came out, and they're just really nice little dot note pages. So all the pages have got dots rather than lines, and so you can sort of replicate that actually on the iPad Mini. The iPad Mini, by the way, is exactly the same size as one of these. In fact, they made this the same size as the original iPad Mini. So in terms of space in my bag, the iPad Mini takes up just as much space as this, but actually it's not quite as thick. So so yeah, I'm really enjoying getting back to taking written notes on my my iPad now. And what's this? Do you take notes with pen and pencil, or do you type notes into an app? Looks like a pile of books shows the answer. Yes. So I do some written notes, but I'm a very I like the tactile thing of writing notes. And then I've got my whole sort of I've got my daily journal, which is a Techo planner. I've used these for years. So here's my journals going back however many years. So I still do those, and I write in my journal every morning, basically. So nothing's going to replace that. I'm never going to go over to an electronic journal. I just prefer the sort of prefer to just be writing, and also not having everything is totally on a screen. But you can't really beat the iPad for the iPad Mini, at least for the portability. And as I say, it's the same size as the notebook and about the same weight, but half the width, half the thickness rather. And it's just great because it's got everything there. So where does Notion fit into all of this? So Notability and GoodNotes are indeed written, although you can type in them as well. And they have got really good handwriting recognition as well. So you can just write a whole blocks of text and then just convert it back over to text instead of handwriting, which is really good, and that seems to work really well as well. There's lots of ways that you can add, so you can add graphics and images and stuff like that into it, and then add written notes around it as well, which is really good for some of the stuff that I do. So I can make little mock-ups of things, and like one of the things I do with a marketing company is designing like sales funnels and stuff like that. And so you can create little templates of little blocks, and just sort of drag them and drop them in, and then just add on little notes and stuff like that. So it's actually really good for designing stuff like that. Just say a quick hello to hi Jerome, and I don't think I've ever seen you on here before actually, so great for you to stop by, or at least pop into the chat. Pencil Planner is a great combination of your calendars and written notes. Is it? Right, well hang on a minute, let me just make a quick note about that. I've not actually heard of that one. Here we go. This is how the rabbit holes get open up, isn't it? I'll definitely give that one a look. Hey Albert, great to see you as well. So yeah, the written notes with GoodNotes, that one is definitely locked in now at the moment for my well, we'll see what happens with this other one, Pencil Planner, as well. But for the moment, GoodNotes is for my handwritten notes on the iPad. But Notion, so this is the one that Chris mentioned last week, and to be honest with you, I was a little bit, I think even on the the stream when he was talking about it, I said, well, I'm not really sure, because I do use my Omnifocus is my task planner. I've been using Omnifocus for like 15 years. It was, I can't remember exactly, but about something like 15 years. And I don't think anything's going to replace Omnifocus as my task planner, because it is really a sort of like embedded in my whole workflow, and it's based around David Allen's Getting Things Done system, which is definitely something that I use to get things done. It's a great book if you haven't read it. Yeah, when I read that, it's just sort of totally worked with my my sort of mindset and thinking and so on. So I was just all in on the getting things done system, and Omnifocus by the Omni Group is just sort of built all around that. So yeah, nothing's going to replace Omnifocus. Then for my written text notes, my sort of typed text notes rather, I use text files, just .txt, and then I use NVALT, which is a fork of notational velocity written by Brett Terpstra. There's supposed to be an update to that coming out, but it's been on the cards for, I think, about 3 or 4 or 5 years now, and it's still not come. So he's obviously working on other stuff. But for now, NVALT works fine for me. And all my text files, I've got about 40, 50,000 of them, are just sitting in Dropbox. And the thing about text files is they are sort of ubiquitous. You can open them on any platform, on any device. And also, you're not in an ecosystem. So I went down the Evernote route at one point. But yeah, when you want to get stuff out, then it's sort of, it's not always the easiest. Whereas the thing about text files is they are just there. And if the company goes away, well, there's no company behind them. They're basically going to be there for certainly as long as I'm around anyway, and be readable. Very lightweight, don't take up much space. And there's lots of different apps that you can use to access them. So I use NVALT on the Mac, and then I use Writer on the iPad to just access those. And I use that for basically... BB Edit is another great one, by the way. Yeah, I've used BB Edit before. Yeah, Bare Bones Software, another great company. I use a lot of their stuff for when I was doing coding and stuff like that. So, but my text files is kind of more. I've been thinking a lot about this over the past week, as like, where does Notion fit in? And I'll come on to Notion in a bit. I'm sort of rambling and waffling here, but I was trying to figure out like where it would fit into my workflow, because as I say, Omnifocus for task management, text files for all of my notes. But my notes that I've got in text files are more kind of things like reference files and running lists and stuff like that. So, you know, these little things where you want to figure out how to do something and you only need it like once every 3 years or something. And you go and do a search on the internet and you find out how to do it. Maybe it's something with the system on the Mac or something like that, but it's not something that you keep doing over and over and over again. But you do find yourself coming back to it like once every couple of years and thinking, now, how did I do that thing? Well, every time I have to search for something like that, where I think that there's a possibility it might come back later, I just capture it in a text file. So I've got loads of sort of reference files like that. And then the next time that I have to do it, then I just search my own text file system and it just pops up. I've also got stuff like recipes and things like that, cooking recipes in text files as well, and all these sorts of things. Yeah, Coda. So I have used Coda before as well. That is... I think, am I thinking about the right one? Hang on. Yeah, let me have a little look for this. Coda. That is more for coding, isn't it? There is a coding program called what have you done? You've opened a wormhole. It's not the one I was thinking about. There is a coding program called Coda, though, I'm sure. That is the one that I used to use for coding, I think. In the good old days, can't remember. Anyway, I won't go down that rabbit hole just now. I'll put it on my list though. And if there's no more videos come out this week, it's your fault this time instead of Chris's, because I'll be down the Coda rabbit hole. So that's my text files are more sort of like reference things. So I've got basically my good notes for my written notes. I've got my Omnifocus for my task management. I've got text files for all of my reference material and stuff like that. And then I've got my little Techo journal here for my journaling. But what I did find looking at Notion is it does actually go into, it does actually cover a lot more of the stuff that I do around that. So once I've planned a project, and like at the moment, one of the things I'm going to come on to later is this course that I've been planning. And I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll give it a go. I'll give Notion a go at planning out this project and see how it goes. And I really like it. I mean, Notion's it's hard to sort of explain. It is. You can do task planning in it, which I won't really be doing as such, except for it's good for sort of project planning and things like that. It does have sort of small little database functionality. I'm never going to use it as a full-blown database. I've got databases. I'm never going to use it as a spreadsheet because I use Excel for, you know, all of that, and nothing could do what I do in Excel better than Excel could. However, there are times when you're doing stuff where you do just want a little table of data in amongst some other stuff, or you do want to be able to track sort of milestones, and so it can have a bit like in Trello, where you've got the sort of Kanban style Trello boards. I think I might have murdered the pronunciation of that. Kanban. I'm waiting for Doc to jump in and correct me on that. Yeah, it's really great and versatile the way you can just sort of flick between those things. So you can just create a whole list, but put dates in it, and then it just switch over to be a calendar view so you can see how things are planned out, or you can set it out into a sort of a project planning timeline and stuff like that. It's just really versatile. So I have gone down a bit of a rabbit hole with it, and I do think that I'm going to be adapting it, barring Coda. Then I do think I'm going to be adapting it for basically the bits that fit around my task planning, my text notes, and all this sort of stuff. For project specific stuff, I can see where the place for it in my workflow is. So all of this is to say that's part of what I've been doing this week. Is just diving down into that rabbit hole. So, but it does look like I've got another couple: Pencil Planner and Coda. Right, I'll report back next week. And like I say, if you don't see any videos, let me have a little quick catch up with these comments before, because I'm going to be talking about this this course that I'm planning, and we'll see. My penmanship. Well, here's the thing. In case you couldn't guess, I do have like my writing pens, but then I do obviously have different colours of them. I do always have my highlighters to hand and things like that as well. So yeah, I am a bit of a one of those ones who draw sort of like arty notes, if you like. And I do find though that things like that, where rather than just scribbling it all out, I do find that giving certain things emphasis and doing those sorts of things. Doc mentioned it in one of the live streams. I can't remember which one it was, or it might have been in class actually in office hours. buymeacoffee.com/DocRock to join the office hours group. But he was talking about it in there, the what's it called, Mike Rhodes sketch notes book, and yeah, I definitely read that as well. And that's my sort of style, where you sort of do little sketches and doodles around all of your notes and stuff like that. But I find that actually helps it to sort of embed the information into my little brain. so yeah, let's have a little look. In the demos of Notability, there are immaculate notes. Yeah, so that's kind of what I was just talking about, really. I'll be honest with you. Although I like to think that I make little arty notes, I have seen some of the ones you're talking about, and some of them are at a different level. I don't actually spend, a whole. I don't spend that much time crafting them, and I don't have. My sort of handwriting and stuff like that is not as naturally just perfect as some of these people that I've seen who do these Notability and Notion videos as well. Oh, sorry, yeah, it's the Notability and Good notes ones, the written notes. Yeah, some of them just blow me away. I've been diving into some of these over the past week. So it is just them doing it. Yeah, it's not an app that they're using that actually does this for them. Obviously, there is stuff that you can do, hand notes and stuff like that. But yeah. Let's have a quick look. BB edit. Must be catching up with myself here. Right, that's it. There is a documentation coder plus another one for coding. Got it. Yeah, another wormhole has been opened up. I have notes sections for you titled to caption notes for your. I can't just read this now. What am I thinking? Switching to pages. Okay, right, yeah. So I will be doing a few videos about Notion. It is very good for some elements of my note taking. But anyway, I'll give you a full update when I've finished. And yeah, don't worry, I'll be back next week. I will have looked at it. Have I looked at Rocketbook? Rocketbook, if I'm right, is the one where you write the stuff on the page, is it? And then it all gets translated, but then the notes have gone from your actual physical book. Is that correct? It's just like a single thing. I think if that's the one that I'm thinking about. Yeah, so you write the notes down and it captures them all digitally, sort of thing. Is that the one? So the thing about that is, if that is the one that you're talking about, and I'll obviously wait for the the response, but if that is the one that you're talking about, the thing that I don't like about that is that once you've written the note, it's gone from that thing, and then you've got to transfer to another device to like flick back between pages and stuff like that. I like having physical notebooks because you can write in them and then you obviously can just flick back and forth. And then that translates for me over to GoodNotes and stuff like that on the iPad, because then I can still basically flick backwards through pages and stuff like that. And it's all on that same device, be it a physical book or an electronic device. Rocketbook seems to break that for me because I can write a note on one page and then it's saved somewhere. But then if I'm in that sort of frame of mind of writing on that page, how many pages can I go back and flick back and forth? Or do I then have to transfer to another device to go and say, like, all right, well, let me go back a few pages. So that's why I've never really, it never really gelled with me that it did. I used to have a pen. Now, what was the name of this? I haven't used this for years. I used to have a pen that was a, in fact, I've actually still got, here you go. I've still got one of the actual books for it. Let me just quickly find the name of this because this was genius. I don't know if anyone remembers Livescribe. Let me get this up. Livescribe basically was a pen with a little camera in the front of it, and then you had this special paper. And if you look really closely, I'll just get something that hasn't got notes all over it. If you look closely at the paper, it's got these minute little dots, and it's a unique pattern of dots. So basically, the pen is always looking down at the paper and knows exactly where it is on the paper at any one time. And what that means is, and there's little zones on the paper as well. And the thing had a microphone in it, so it would also do that thing where it would. You could play the piano as well, yeah. You could draw a little piano keyboard on the page and then just sort of play it with a pen. It was a bit gimmicky, but it showed the point about how it worked, that it always knew where it was on the page. I used that for ages. The thing about that was, though, the actual pen was crap. It wasn't a pleasant experience to write with in the same way that other pens were. So the actual ballpoint pen inside it wasn't any good, to my mind. But it was a really great thing that you were writing with this pen, it was recording everything, and then just like with Notability, you could go back and just tap on the screen and it would record it back. It would also digitize all the notes. So then I was taking notes on physical paper. I always wish this had been developed into something better than it ended up being, to be honest. It was still great and it felt kind of groundbreaking at the time. This would have been about 10, 15 years ago as well, actually, thinking about it. Yeah, it was really, really great. And I've got a whole load of digitized notes that just came straight out of this. I had a little USB-C in, not USB-C, USB, mini micro USB in the end. And yeah, you just take all your notes, plug it into your computer, and then pages of notes just come into the thing at the end. It was just brilliant. So yeah, Notability did sort of take that thing of being able to record the audio, just like Livescribe did, and then be able to play it back. So that's I think probably where they got that little trick from. But yeah, Livescribe, it's there's also the thing about having to, obviously with iPads and stuff like that. It's not the Scribe Pen. It was the Livescribe. I haven't seen them for years, actually. Let me just pull it up. I wonder if they are still about. Livescribe is the pen that's you have to. The other thing is you have to write on special paper as well with it. But let me just have a little look at Livescribe. Livescribe 3. So they do have, actually, they're still making them. That's interesting. Let me have a little look at this. Oh no, I've just sent myself down another rabbit hole here. I think this is the original one. Let me just get this one up. Yeah, this is the one that I had. Let me just stick this on the screen. So this was the Livescribe pen, and it was, as you can see, it was quite big, but that was to fit in. It had a little camera in the end of it that would see exactly where it was on the paper and so on. Yeah, Livescribe, yeah. It was a great idea, but like I say, it was just the pen was the actual writing experience with it. Apart from it being quite a big, large pen, the writing experience of it on it wasn't the best. But now I'm just having a little look at this because I haven't checked this out for years. Livescribe have got a new one out by the look of it. Oh dear, I've just sent myself down another rabbit hole. Look at this. Livescribe Best Smart Pen for 2021 is the article. Let me go back. So it looks like they've made it quite a bit slimmer, actually. Interesting. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut this down. I'm going to shut my browser down, and I'm going to ignore that. I'm going to imagine that I've never seen that because that could send me down a whole another rabbit hole. In any case, so I've just completely lost my train of thought there. So anyway, so where was I up to? I was going to talk about what I was going to move on to after this. I know I was just I was just catching up with the comments, wasn't I? There I was. You can never use the live stream because you always have to explain it. Yeah, that was a point. So I used to use it in my architectural work when I'd have clients come in and would be writing notes down, and it would always end up like dominating sort of the first 15-20 minutes of the conversation. And yeah it was you just have to keep it low key and not mention it. But when you're there just saying I'm just going to turn on my pen, it was always a bit of a giveaway, really. So I do use drafts. I've got drafts on my iPhone and iPad as well. So I know people use that like fully for all of their notes management. So I don't actually use that. I do use it more for creating blocks of text that I'm going to be sending somewhere else, which was kind of its original purpose. It's just kind of like if you've got a thought or something and you just want to quickly jot it down, and then you can just send it to whichever platform or service or whatever. So yeah. So yeah, I do use drafts. I'm going to do a full sort of video at some point about like how all of these things fit together. But as you can see, in the last 2 weeks, it's been a bit of a moving target, especially. So I use Bear as well. I tried Bear. I do prefer drafts, I think, just because I like I don't know, it sort of gels more with me. But oh hey, Elaine. That's great to see you here, and also great to see Michael here as well. Yeah, so it's too many. That's the problem with tech. There's too many rabbit holes to go down, and yeah, I've just been going down quite a few recently. But in any case, day one. You see, there's another one. That was one that I started, and I was going to do my journaling in that, but I've just kept to my little Techo planners. They're or journals rather. They're I just prefer the the physical writing experience for journaling somehow. Google Keep. So that's another one. I've never actually tried that one. I've always just had these other ones that have been in my sort of frame of reference. I've never actually looked at Google Keep. I have heard some good things about it, but anyway, that's enough. I'm officially closing the door on rabbit holes before I start writing any more of them down. Otherwise, I won't get anything done next week. Etch a Sketch. That brings back memories. Let me just have a quick look at Etch a Sketch. Is that still going? I'm sure it is because, well, I'm sure it is. Now that is a bit of a blast from the past, isn't it? I'm getting totally sidetracked now. It does look like they're still making those, actually. You can still buy Etch a Sketch. There you go. That's pretty impressive. I never drew anything quite like that on Etch a Sketch. The Taj Mahal. That was a little bit better than my my efforts. They were kind of like blockmen drawings. Yeah, quite right. We have we have gone down a few rabbit holes here, haven't we? Okay, so let me move on to the next thing that I was going to talk about, because it's sort of related to this, which was, well, it's all related to why let me just reframe all of this that I've been talking about. All of these are excuses of why I didn't make time for my videos, because I was making time for other things this week. So my Vlogmas stuff and my note-taking and all these sorts of things are total rabbit holes that I chose to go down instead of actually creating my videos this week. But I have done a lot of planning, though, so I do feel like it's been a really productive week this week, actually. So what I was going to talk about was, I've mentioned it before, but I'm going to be doing this Zoom course, which is ostensibly by like my channel, although it will be a separate sort of paid course. But I will be putting some Zoom content. I'll probably be looking for some beta testers actually of the course material. So yeah, I'll let you all know about that. Yeah, it's going to be a Zoom course, and I thought what I'd do is because I know that there are other people certainly in Doc's community, in the the office hours community, but then also in the eCam community as well, who are looking at creating courses, or they've got something that they want to create a course for. So I thought maybe it might be a good idea to, and correct me if I'm wrong, or let me know if you think this is a good idea, if I sort of document the process of making it and talk about my process as I go through and make the course and the way I think about it. And then how I plan to market it, how I plan to, make it available to everyone and stuff like that. And so perhaps I could give a, I could perhaps do a. That's right. That's the correct, the correct emoji notation for a rabbit hole. So yeah, I thought it'd be useful for some people, but like I say, let me know if you think this is a good idea. To just every week when I do my weekly update on the channel, I'll also do a weekly update on where I'm up to with the course and sort of like the stage that I'm at, and then I suppose my sort of creative process as well with it, because I have done a few courses in the past. I mean, created them in the past. I've also launched them. We've got a marketing company that builds sales funnels and things like that. So I'll be talking about a little bit about that as well, and how to do that aspect. I'd always thought about keeping all of this sort of stuff totally separate from this channel, but obviously the more I'm involved in the community and seeing things that other people are doing, it is something that people are sort of talking about. Which is the best platform to do courses on, like host courses on, and all this sort of stuff, or how do you actually get them out there? So I thought perhaps it might be a little bit useful. So I thought what I'd do today then is just sort of give a little bit of an introduction to the course that I'm planning, and kind of like my thought process, and then also my creative process for it at this stage, and sort of basically what I've been playing with for the past week or so. So my starting point with any of these things is always thinking, obviously, about like the end user. I mean, that's pretty much the same with this channel to a certain extent. Although with the channel, it did sort of evolve quite rapidly as I realized what viewers were interested in and all this sort of stuff. But with the course, I have got a specific target in mind. And it's going to be a course about Zoom, basically, but how to get better results from Zoom meetings, or how to improve the way that you look on Zoom meetings. So I've got to think about like who it's actually for, and then also where they are now in their presently, and then what their aspirations are, what their goals are, and so on. Because you would think really after 2 years of everybody being on Zoom all the time, that people would have had it down by now, but really there is very few Zoom calls that I go on where there is anybody else on that Zoom call who, when I say looks better than me, obviously they all look better than me. But what I mean is where their camera and image quality and lighting and sound are of a higher quality. And it's not like I've got a brilliant studio or anything like that. I'm using a 10-year-old Canon camera. I bought a Shure MV7 to set up, for this purposes of this channel and for my my meetings and stuff like that, which isn't, it's not a mic that breaks the bank or anything like that. And then I've just got two, non-branded soft boxes on either side of me, so it's not like there's a whole load of expense or anything gone into it, and I'm certainly not the highest quality YouTuber out there, but invariably on Zoom meetings it always gets commented on, and everyone else is just terrible looking, really. Albeit they're the most beautiful, handsome people in the world, their picture quality and audio is really terrible, and it does make a massive difference to the way that you are perceived in meetings. You instantly have this sort of air of authority if you are the one that looks and sounds the best. And secondly, if you can actually be heard, it always does help to get your point across, because your point is the thing that is being listened to rather than people being distracted. I still don't understand why people have the use the green screen effect and have like a beach background behind them. There's some really, really professional people that have really unprofessional video backgrounds going on behind them in Zoom. The keying of the green screen effect in Zoom is not the best either, so it actually becomes they've put this background because maybe they're not in an ideal environment, maybe they don't want to show their home environment or something like that, which I totally get. But they end up doing something which distracts more from what they're trying to tell you than it's having more of a negative impact than a positive impact, because people are just getting distracted. If people can't hear you properly, or there's audio issues, or people are having to ask you, can you say that again, or these sorts of things, it's just it's not good for business as a business owner. And so I mean, I had an idea for a few other different courses, but it was really Doc mentioning about doing a course specifically for architects a couple of couple of live streams ago, that sort of that prompted me to do the Zoom one. So I do plan to do one on Zoom. I plan to do one on basically Mac productivity as well, so a separate course on that, and then on different things like the keyboard Maestro. I've got an idea for a full course to do on that, although I will be just sort of, I guess, doing a lot of that on the channel as well. And there's a few others that are related to my sort of content creation and related to Ecamm that I wanted to do as courses. But anyway, I've settled on, for now, the Zoom being the first one. And so just sort of thinking about the person and what the issue that they've got is and what they want. And the thing that is brilliant about the last 2 years and everything being done on Zoom is it is actually a great leveler in business, because you are now judged on the oh, hey Carly, I've always got to say hello to you. I'm talking about courses, by the way, and creating online courses, so I'm glad you're here, because you're actually doing it, so that's always great. Zoom has been a sort of great leveler over the past 2 years, because big companies would spend millions on swanky offices and all these sorts of things, and to give an impression to people, and yet now we're all on Zoom and people aren't actually seeing these little status symbols that people used to like to have when they were doing business. And so now it's basically just comes down to basically how you look and sound on Zoom and the message that you can give people. And so that's really the goal of this, is to allow people to basically outshine the competition on Zoom. And they can do it with a very little investment, really, of time and energy. And so that's who the course is aimed for. It's for people who want to basically just do more business and better business, win more contracts. I'm doing a project at the moment in another company that I'm a partner in, and we're looking to raise funds for this particular software application that we're developing. And so being able to create videos that demonstrate it and exactly how all of this stuff works is brilliant. We can just do all that in Ecamm. I can create sort of video walkthroughs of this is the the mock-up, the interface, how it's all going to work, things like that. And it's a great way to raise investment, to get business and all these sorts of things. So that's sort of like another sort of angle of the course as well. It's just using the tool. So having thought about the outcomes that people want, you don't want to think at this stage about like the actual the tool itself. So you're thinking about where they are, where they want to get to, and then you can sort of get the ideal avatar that you're sort of aiming for. Although it is for general business, I will be targeting specific industries and things like that, where I think there will be the potential highest return on ad spend, because I'm going to be spending some money on ads for this to market it. So I've been thinking, and I'll share all of this in due course as to exactly who I'm sort of targeting and how I'm going about that. I'm also targeting different geographical areas as well. So there's certain industries in certain areas where I think I will get the biggest bang for my buck in terms of what I'm spending on ads and things like that. So that's always a factor. But so once I've sort of figured out like who the ideal client is, if you like, or the ideal not client, but they're people who are going to attend this course or do the course, then I start thinking about obviously the structure. And I've got a loose structure of the course, where it's actually quite a defined structure now, but I had a loose structure which was there's obviously lots of people online doing Zoom tutorials. There's lots of features to Zoom that people aren't aware of, so there's definitely a place for having a Zoom course to just learn all of the techniques. But the thing about that is that doesn't give you that aspect of how to actually look good on Zoom, and so that's the sort of the next part of it really. And so as well as the Zoom tutorial, there will also be like a studio and gear guide, so basically how to just level up your your look basically and sound. So it will just have the basics of like what you should do in terms of, you know, camera options, mic options and lighting and things like that. But just like I say, not going into, oh, you've got to suddenly build a full-blown studio, but just to have those options of doing something. I mean, just literally buying a mic and using an old DSLR camera, you'll instantly look better than most people, and getting some lighting set up. So I'll be covering that sort of stuff in the course as well. And then there'll also be stuff about, you know, sort of the essential studio gear or the essential tech, but then also the sort of bonus items. So if you want to go down the Stream Deck route and all these sorts of things, because you want to, in Zoom meetings as well, make it so that the whole platform disappears completely from the picture, and people are focused on what you're delivering. So many meetings you go into, people are struggling with the tech. They're, oh, hang on, let me just go and share my screen now. How do I do this? Am I sharing the right one? And all these sorts of things. And it just totally ruins the flow of a meeting. If you were in an in-person meeting where you'd got all this stuff to hand, or you were showing something or demoing something, you'd have it all there, and the actual sort of physical act of, you know, picking up a book to show them something, or, you know, taking them over to another area of the room to show them something else, or to talk with them, you know, all of that stuff, you would never actually think about it. But suddenly with Zoom, people have got all these problems that, like, they're clicking around and it becomes part of the meeting and just interferes with the whole flow of the meeting. So it's the sort of the secret sauce really is basically, how do you do all of this seamlessly where the other person is only ever focused on you and the message that you're giving to them. And so that's kind of the other aspect of the course really. And of course, the biggest part of the secret sauce for me in Zoom meetings is Ecamm. So there'll be a whole load of stuff in the course specifically about how to use Ecamm for Zoom. And I've just noticed that you've mentioned this as well. Yeah, this is basically going to be covered in it actually. So it is a Zoom camera gear guide, and then also how to use Ecamm with it as well, basically. Oh, hey Michelle, great to see you here. So that is basically in a nutshell what I'm going to be covering in it, and then talking as well about actual technique as well. So once you've got the you know, some equipment set up, your studio set up, or however complex that might be for your Zoom calls, and then once you've got your tech, so it would be things like the Stream Deck, using the iPad for telestration, writing on screen. That is a great thing. I use that all the time. And then other things like foot pedals. I'll be talking for that. But then it will be going into more about sort of the techniques, so actually covering some of the ways that people can use this technology, because it opens up opportunities that perhaps weren't there previously, or certainly weren't there previously on Zoom, but also makes it, you can do things that you wouldn't have even been able to do in an in-person event as well. So I'll be covering all of that sort of stuff in the course as well. And I'm going to sort of share some of this as I'm going through. Some of this I'll be sharing on the channel as well, as I sort of build it all out. But then, so that is the sort of structure of it. Now, as it stands, I've laid out this structure. This is part of what I've been doing in the little Ecamm Fam Jam sessions, is just sort of laying all this out and figuring out how it's all going to fit together. And so having got those broad sections, so basically the Zoom tutorial telling you how to use Zoom, that's part of it. The setup, the gear, and so on. And then the secret sources like the Ecamm, and then the actual technique stuff. So having got those sort of four broad groupings, I've then just been adding in all the videos and things like that that need to be made for it. So I'm still in that sort of stage of planning at the moment. But by next week, I should have like a really detailed outline of what all of those videos are and how they're all going to fit together, basically. So I might even just actually share the overall course structure at some point as well in the next week, I would imagine. So it just sort of gives people an idea of what's going to be included. But in sort of parallel to this, the way that my brain works, I'm sure that there are other ways of doing this and maybe a totally linear structured approach, but I can never separate the content from the aesthetic, and I've always been that way. It's kind of like I'm an engineer, but I'm also a designer as well. So my sort of engineer by study, but then I'm also a designer, so I'm very into the sort of aesthetic of things as well, the way that things look. So in my architecture, I was always looking at the engineering and the architecture at the same time. They always have this thing about engineers and architects clashing, so the architect will design something that the engineer can't build. But I was always two in one, really. So I was always thinking about the two things at the same time. And that sort of transfers over into everything that I do, really. I'm always thinking about the way things are looking and the sort of actual technicalities of them as well at the same time. And that's the same with this this course, really. So in parallel to thinking about the course content, I'm constantly flicking backwards and forward to how it's going to look and how things need to look. So I've been thinking about the design aesthetic in terms of the sales funnels, so how the website funnels are going to work. I'll be doing my marketing on Facebook marketing, but then also potentially running some YouTube video ads as well, and they will go through to landing pages with different sales funnel designs. I've noticed you mentioned sales funnels, by the way, Carly, and I can definitely do a few videos on those. Yeah, I can definitely do a few videos on those. So and I'll probably actually share the funnels that I'm going to use to promote this course. In fact, yeah, I've got some queued up. Actually, I haven't got them queued up. But I mean, I've got them all that I do presentations about sales funnels to clients and stuff like that. So I could easily actually just pull those up. But I probably won't do that today. I'll come back to that though, and I'll let you know about that. But that, in terms of the design aesthetic, I'm always thinking about how that translates over, what the branding of the whole thing should look like. But then obviously how the course environment is. So once people go in to start to do the course, what's that whole thing going to look like? Let me have a little look now. What's Doc mentioning here? It's not just popped up. It's popped up in my other little chat, but I haven't seen it there. Louis Sullivan, Form and Function. I don't know if I've heard of that. Is that a book? Let me just write that down. Oh, as we talk about notes, I've also got this little jotter that I always have with me as well to jot down notes. Louis Sullivan. Right, okay, I'll have a look at that as well. So yeah, in terms of the sort of design aesthetic, yeah, I am thinking about the course environment as well, and then I'm always also thinking about like downloads, and I often go down little sort of little rabbit holes when I'm thinking about. So, for example, the course material. There'll be videos, but there'll also be downloadable accompaniments to all of the course modules, if you like, as well. So then I start thinking about like how those are going to look, and I start sort of mentally mapping out those, and I'll start thinking about a particular thing. Like one of them is going to. So I'm going to be doing some lead magnets, for example. Oh, Frank Lloyd Wright's engineer. I was thinking about someone more modern day, but yeah. So the things like the lead magnet. So a lead magnet is something where you say, do you want my free report or free this or free that, and they go to it and they grab it from the give you the email, and then they then they're in your email sales funnel, for example. There's also things like Tripwire Funnels, where basically you offer a product for a low price, like less than $10, for example, and then they'll go through and they'll buy that particular product, but then you offer them up to the course and things like that. So when I'm actually coming up with these ideas of things, I'm sort of thinking in my mind about the design of them as well. So 7 steps for more productive Zoom meetings or whatever it happens to be. I always think in those terms. So that's like another part of the sort of the design process, is thinking about that and thinking about how all these things fit together. Now, let me just quickly stick up my join link if anybody fancies jumping on and having a chat. And I'm just going to have a quick catch up with these things. So I'm glad you like the idea, Carly. And I'll have to get you on as a definitely. Yes, next weekend I got all the Albert I need help that stopped the meeting. That was not my meeting. Yeah, it happens all the time in Zoom meetings. Yeah, fine line between artist and engineer. Yeah, I don't know where that comes from really as well, but I've always been like that, looking at like both sides of the equation from the outset. And I the form follows function thing is definitely a thing, but I do sort of hold the two in my mind at the same time. Almost, it's a bit. I totally get the point. If you design something that is like perfectly engineered, then it has a sort of natural beauty to it. But there is an element of sort of, sometimes I do get an idea of a form that comes first, but then I sort of flesh it out from the design perspective. And yeah. Oh, hey, Victor. There will be more Stream Deck videos coming, by the way. There'll be more Stream Deck and more Keyboard Maestro videos as well. They're on the cards. I did the beginner's guide to Stream Deck, and I have got a sort of intermediate and advanced guide to Stream Deck as well that is already pretty much planned out. I've just got I say planned out, I've written down the titles so I know what I'm going to be covering in them. And then same with Keyboard Maestro, because those two things really work well together. And I did the beginner's guide to Keyboard Maestro 1, but I haven't done 2, 3, 4, and 5 yet, and I've got the advanced ones to do on that as well. Yeah. So what I plan to do is then, for coming back to this course idea, is every week I will give a little bit of an update on where I'm up to with it. And so this week I am literally just having created the sort of loose course outline. I've got to go into a bit more detail into what will be covered in those videos. I'll probably still do them in the same sort of style as my videos. I won't be doing any editing. That was my whole thing about starting this channel, was to just get used to being able to sit down and make a video without editing. Although there will be some stuff in the Zoom course that is where I have actually got to demonstrate something which will require, I'm going to show setups and things like that. So it won't be necessarily all just done like this, basically, or like my regular videos, I should say. Keyboard Maestro and Stream Deck, keep getting distracted by comments, but Keyboard Maestro and Stream Deck is just amazing. I bought the Stream Deck to use for, doing eCam and stuff like that with, but when I figured this sort of link between Keyboard Maestro and, in fact, the app for Stream Deck is called KM Link. That's the best one that I find to use with Stream Deck. I've got another video to make with Stream Deck, by the way, and Keyboard Maestro, which is something that Rich asked about, which was about controlling a second computer with Stream Deck, and you can actually do it using Keyboard Maestro. So I've got to make that video, because Keyboard Maestro, this is a bit of a diversion. This is why on my videos I just do them and stick to a topic, whereas on these live streams I always end up just veering totally off course. Keyboard Maestro, you can have an action, or rather a trigger which is triggered over the internet. They've got a particular protocol. It all goes through their servers, and then on another machine you can have a Keyboard Maestro action that triggers that trigger, so it triggers it on the other computer. So whereas before I thought that you couldn't use Stream Deck and have it controlling two computers at the same time, because it's obviously plugged into one, using Keyboard Maestro you can actually do that. So that's another video that's quite near the top of my my to make list. The other video that I've got to make on Keyboard Maestro, which I've been talking about for 2 weeks, is basically my one button click which sets up all of my workspace and eCam and switches to the right profile in eCam, switches my Stream Deck to the right profile for that eCam profile. And this has been I've been given a bit of a nudge about it as well in the group, because Michael Hyatt asked a question in the group about, what's the best way to work with profiles in eCam and Stream Deck, and that video is basically the answer, because I know that he's a Keyboard Maestro user, and you can just have it with one button press, basically just switching to your eCam profile, switching to the relevant Stream Deck profile, and then arranging all of your windows. So that's probably my next my next video on Keyboard Maestro, at least. But yeah. Right, I've gone totally down a rabbit hole now, totally off track. But yeah, I'm totally in love with Stream Deck and Keyboard Maestro. I tell you another thing that I haven't done yet. So I've still got my my loop deck. I said this last week. My loop deck is still sitting on my desk, and I still haven't properly set it up. To be honest, I haven't gone through and set up all different profiles and stuff like that. The one that I have been using it for is Photoshop. I've been using the little volume knob on it as well. but it's a bit expensive as a volume knob. But I have been using it with Photoshop. I do like it with Photoshop. I like the dials, the little knobs on it for adjusting, brush size and all these sorts of different things and different parameters. But I've not really got past using it for more than that at the moment. So I think it was because that came at the same time as my iPad Mini. My iPad Mini then caused me to sort of rethink a lot of things about my regular workflow. And so it's just, I can't believe I've had it on my desk for 2 weeks now and it isn't all set up, because that's usually my MO, is get something, dive into it, get it all set up and then move on from it. But Loop Deck still needs to be set up. But yeah, Stream Deck and Keyboard Maestro for me is just a winner, and that's why I can't see Loop Deck replacing that. I wish there was a bit of a hybrid of the two, to be honest, because there's no issue with touching the wrong key on Loop Deck at all. Although some people, I had the thought that it might be, with it being just a screen. You can tell where the buttons are. There is dividers between them. So I do like it for that. I wish there was a bit of a hybrid, and I've thought about creating one. I've thought about ripping them both apart and getting a case made that's basically combines the Loop Deck knobs and some of the other functions with the Stream Deck, and making like a bit of a Franken deck. There's a mix of the two of them. I would probably actually double the number of Stream Deck keys as well. So it needs 2 Stream Deck XLs and then the Loop Deck little dials and things like that, and then just join them all together. Oh, thank you very much, Victor. That's very, very kind of you. Much appreciated. I've just realised I've cropped the edge of my Buy Me a Coffee link off. How's that happened? I'll have to fix that. But thank you very much, Victor. That's much appreciated. That's what fuels this channel. I've got this is my second coffee of the morning, because it's 10 past 6 in the morning here. So Hey Kevin, great to see you. And Jerry, great to see you too. Kickstarter project. I've got a list of things like this. Will I get round to them? I don't know. I'm also going to hack my foot pedals together. In fact, let me just quickly come back to that, because it was a question that was asked earlier by Mr. Paul Duncan, moderator to the stars. Not that I am, but he is. Let me have a little look where it was, because these I really love these foot pedals, and I'd seen that you can get some quite expensive foot pedals, really. For USB foot pedals for the your computer, and there are some like professional ones for like page turning and stuff like that. But these ones were just sort of like non-branded, generic sort of things. I forget how much they were now. I think they're about $20 or something like that on Amazon. Let me just quickly grab them up, and they look something like this. Here we go. No, I can't actually pull that up. Hang on a minute. Let me share my screen instead then. I was going to try and grab the image straight off the Amazon website, but you can't actually do that very easily. Let me try. There we go. So they look something like that. And it's just 3 little switches. They're basically mapped to the keystrokes A, B, and C. So then in Keyboard Maestro, I've just remapped those. And then I've set up little macros as well, so that I can cycle between different uses. So, for example, now I've got one of the foot pedals takes the last comment off the screen. So if I just press my foot pedal, there you go, it disappears. I've got another one which goes back to my main scene, like that. I've got another one which flips back to the previous scene. So I'm just doing that all with foot pedals. So it means that I don't have to sort of be doing anything with Stream Deck. I can still be looking at the screen and just easily go back and forth between different things. So that's true. Rich is the the one with the wrench here. He's the moderator. I really do like these foot pedals. But one thing about them is there could be more of them. I'm realizing. And the distance between them, if you put your sort of, let me just go back to that scene. If you sort of put the ball of your foot between the like sort of at the center of them. They're just a little bit too far apart for me to easily sort of move my foot between each one if you want to just have your foot sort of stationary and know always where you are in relation to them. So I'd actually like to move them a little bit closer together. I've got them at the moment with basically 2 feet, one on just next to either edge, either side pedal, and then I can obviously know where the middle one is. But it would be quite good to just actually have more of these and have them mounted slightly close together, and I would just adjust them all. But it is relatively easy for me to just hack this up and rearrange them all. So I was thinking of getting another couple and doing a little hack experiment. You can get a single foot pedal, or you can get 3. So I'll just get 3 and just move them all together. With Keyboard Maestro, you can map the keys from particular devices. So although in theory the keys are still going to be A, B, C on each one, it does recognize them as different devices, so I can just map them that way. So Jerry, the foot pedals, do they work in Ecamm? They do, effectively, because what I'm doing is I'm using Keyboard Maestro, and I'm just using Keyboard Maestro to map the key strokes from the foot pedals to specific menu items in Ecamm. Because with Keyboard Maestro, you can map to any application, any excuse me, any menu item that you've got. You can map to those menu items. Or when I say map to them, what I mean is you can activate any particular menu item, even if the app isn't in the front. So it's a great way. I use that with Keyboard Maestro, actually, if I want to trigger things in the background. So, for example, like I did a Stream Deck profile for, in fact, let me just bring it up, shall I? I did a Stream Deck profile for YouTube. So basically, when you're watching YouTube, you can use all the keyboard shortcuts for YouTube to like skip forward 10 seconds, back 10 seconds, all these sort of things, pause, play, and all that sort of stuff, but actually control it while it's in the background. So I watch YouTube for tutorials and stuff like that, surprisingly enough. And having Stream Deck icons that allow me to pause it whilst I'm still doing what I'm working on is just really good. And I do that all with Keyboard Maestro. So yeah, the video that I did about YouTube tells you how to do that with Keyboard Maestro to sort of set that all up. But yeah, I would just be able to do that with these multiple pedals. I don't think there's anything that Keyboard Maestro can't do on the Mac. And with the latest update, so that's why I also, by the way, another diversion here, my Keyboard Maestro Beginner's Guide, I did video 1 ages ago, and then I was just about to start doing videos 2 to 5 last week, and then they came out with Keyboard Maestro 10, and I forget what it was. It was something like 160 like features. When you install new software and you have the release notes, it's like what's in this version, what's new in this version, and normally you've got like a little window on your screen. It's got like 10, 20, 30 features or whatever. This was like 170 some odd. It was just a massive big long list, and they've done some amazing things, and they've actually removed some of the things that I used to use Automator for. So there was one thing that you couldn't do with Keyboard Maestro before, is you couldn't create those little Apple services that sit up in the services menu. So that you could do with Automator, but you couldn't do with Keyboard Maestro, whereas now you can do it with Keyboard Maestro. So there's a few things like that they've added in. Well, not a few things. There's 170 some odd things that they've added in. So yeah. Of course, Elaine, you'd be used to the foot pedals with your musical background. So there you go. That was what I was thinking. That's the 3D printed option, Kevin. Yeah, that's one thing that I haven't got, but is that I've been seriously considering getting, is a 3D printer, because there's loads of stuff that I do with that I could use that for. I do use quite heavily. I made a video about this once, which was a little bit of a weird thing to have on my channel, but I use this stuff all the time. Yeah, it's not a bag of cocaine. It is polymorph, which is little tiny plastic beads, and they melt at I don't know what the temperature is, but basically you just fill up something with boiling water, stick a load of these things in, and they go totally malleable. But then when you take them out of the water after they've cooled, they go like rock hard again, just like solid plastic. So I use that all the time to make little things, Obviously nothing that's going to be temperature exposed to heat or anything like that, but yeah, I use it all the time. So a 3D printer is actually something that would definitely fit right into my my little new studio and whatever at some point. And yeah, I could definitely just print up a new case for the Stream Deck, the Franken Deck, I'm going to call it. There we go. Let me just register that domain while I'm talking about it. The Franken Deck. Let me have a look. No, not this time. Not this time. Do I have an affiliate link for Keyboard Maestro? Do you know what? I don't think that they even have an affiliate program. I'm pretty sure they don't have an affiliate program. Let me just have a quick look. But to be honest with you, it's yeah, it's just one of those things. I don't know if they do have an affiliate program, but just go for your life. It's what is Keyboard Maestro? I think it's like $32, something like that. And it's one of these things where it's not another subscription. I like the subscription model. I get it, but it's nice to just have something that's not like another little monthly leech, isn't it? Once you know how much it is, that's it. You just sort of pay for it, and the updates are pretty. Well, they've just updated to 10, so you'd be pretty good. $36 it is for that. Let me just quickly drop the link in the chat while I'm here, I suppose. Keyboardmaestro.com it is. It's one of those pieces of software, though, Keyboard Maestro, where a lot of people get put off by it because it can do so much, and it seems like, you know, I'm not going to need all of this functionality, or it's a bit overwhelming. But the fact is, it's actually really simple to create some really simple little things. In fact, let me just quickly just do one, shall I? Because I'll show you how easy it is. If you've got a use case for this, then it's one of these things as well that once you get it, it's just so easy to use. You'll come up with other ideas of things that you want to do with it. So if I stick this up here now, so this is my Keyboard Maestro. In fact, this is basically what I'm using, what my pedals are being controlled by. So I've basically got pedal 1, 2, and 3. It's just mapping from this particular pedal, and then it's just what it's doing is it's going into my overlays section. Let me just get my Pro Mouse working. Oh, it is. There we go. So this is basically just activating in Ecamm Live. It's activating something from the menu overlays, and it's activating the hide last comment overlay. So I've just basically got up here, we've got the particular macro. In fact, let me just start from beginning, shall I? I know I've covered some of this on my channel, but I'll just start quickly with a an introduction to Keyboard Maestro very quickly, and it won't take long. The interface is like this. You've basically got groups of macros. Macros are all these little actions you're going to take. So it's just basically, these are just folders containing lots of different macros. And when you first start with Keyboard Maestro, you'll have none of these. It's just literally the sample ones and maybe a couple of demos or something like that. In each of those folders, when you click on a folder, it will show you the macros that you've got in that folder. So here, I've got my pedals for live stream, I've got pedals for recording, and I've also got pedals for Zoom as well. So those are my 3 different pedals. You can also see that these ones are currently sort of, they're a lighter color. That means they're not active. So I've only got this particular set at the moment. So this is how I've basically created different sets of macros for the foot pedals. And then I've got a macro that switches to make one of them active and deactivates the other one. So pedal 1, this is where you've got your different macros. So I created one for 1, 2, and 3. And then the sort of format of this, if I just create a completely new one as an example, the way that this is formatted is you basically have the name of the macro. Then up here, you have a trigger. So there is whatever you are going to use to actually trigger this thing to happen, the action that you want to happen. And then down below here, you've got this place where you can add in different actions to actually happen once that trigger happens. And the triggers can be all sorts of different things. You can have a hotkey. So that's basically where you're going to assign a keyboard shortcut. So let's say that you wanted to assign a keyboard shortcut to the menu item of an application that's running in the background, but you wanted to be able to activate it whilst you were doing something in a different app, which is basically what I've done here. So let's say I wanted to hide the last comment, for example, from Ecamm, but I knew that I was going to be having some other, application was going to be at the front, and I didn't have a stream deck, for example. So I didn't want to have to go into Ecamm to then go and hide the last comment. So I could have a trigger, which would be a keyboard trigger. So let me just click on here and just click hotkey. Let's just say I'm going to put the hotkey trigger, I don't know if I'm using this for something else, like that. So I've just created a trigger by just pressing the keystrokes. So Control, Option, Shift, Command H is going to hide the last comment. And then down here, we're going to create a new action. So I'll click on new action like this, and it brings up this palette of actions. And this is where people can get overwhelmed because they think there's just so many. There's so many different things that you can trigger. And in each of these, there are so many different levels of like adjustment that you can make to it. So it can seem overwhelming, but it needn't be, because you just start with what you want to do. So what do we want to do? We want to do something with the menu items in an app. So if I just type menu, it's narrowed it down straight away. So you can see that it says select or show a menu item. So that's what we want to do. We want to basically select a menu item in Ecamm. So I'm going to just drag that over into there. And by the way, you can have a whole chain of actions. So I'll show you an example of some that I've done that have just got a lot more actions in than this. But for now, we're just going to have a hotkey and an action. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to select a menu item in. Now, it could be the front application, but that's not what we want. We want to go into a specific application. So I'm going to click that, and I'm going to click on Ecamm Live Beta. And then we want the menu title and the menu item. So if you think about the way menus are, you've got the in the menu bar in a Mac, you've got the menu title, which is the one that actually appears in the menu bar, and then you've got the items sort of underneath it listed out. So here we would type in I've just noticed that. Yes, I shouldn't use the word overwhelming, but some people are. So the menu title would be actually the title that fits in the header or in the actual menu bar, and then you would add the menu item below that. If you've got nested menu items, so sort of where you drop down and go into a folder and then it's in a subfolder and so on, you can just add like multiple different items in here like this. However, there is an easier way to do that, easier way to do it, which is if you click on the little menu item here, you can actually just come down here and select the particular app that you want, so Ecamm Live Beta. This now lists all of the menu bar titles. So we've got the Apple menu, the Ecamm Live menu, the edit menu, profile, and so on. And now if I go down into overlays, we should have one here, which is, let me have a look at, where's it gone? Hide last overlay. This is where I'm not going to be able to see it, isn't it? Let me have a quick look. Let me have a little look. Where is it? Can't see it in there. It is, it's not hide. It's because it's not showing up. I see. Let me just have a little. I'll put a comment up. I'll put a comment up and let's see if that appears. Or if it was just me. I might have just been missing it before. Stranger things have happened. So it is in overlays and it's down at the bottom. There it is. Hide last comment overlay. So what we've just done there is we've just created a macro. Simple as that. And we've created a macro. I can close this down now. We've created a macro and let's call this hide last comment. Obviously, you can do this with a Stream Deck. It's all built in, but I'm just using this as an example. Hide last comment. So now I've created this macro called hide last comment, which is triggered by this keystroke, Control, Option, Command, Shift H. And what that's going to do is hide the last comment. So if I now actually press that keystroke now, you'll see that it should just hide that comment. There we go. So it's just hidden the comment. So that is how you set up these macros. But you can actually chain actions together. So if I go to, let me have a little look at an example. Let's have a little look. So like this one, for example, I have my panels on Ecamm Live. I don't want them all open at the same time. So sometimes I want all of them, like the overlays, the scenes, the sound effects panel and stuff like that. But like when I'm on a live stream, for example, I also want the comments, the interview window and all these sorts of things. So I've got this little toggle here and you'll notice that there's no, well, you might not notice, I'll just tell you. There's no trigger assigned to this, Keyboard Maestro macro, but what it's doing is it's basically it's activating Ecamm Live, it's hiding all the windows that are not relevant to what I'm doing, And then it's going to it's activating the scenes window, the overlays window, and so on, sound effects window, sound levels, and camera effects. So this it's kind of like actually a little sub macro really, because it's just doing this one component. But then I've also got one for my live panels. So when I want my live, when I go live, I want to have also the comments and reactions and stuff like that. So it's also opening those ones. And these are almost like little subroutines. And then I've got another macro, which basically is for, let me have a little look. So Ecamm for live stream. What this does is it actually calls these other macros. So it's executing this macro of the Ecamm live setup. It's also pulling in the base windows and then my live windows. So these two macros here are to do with the windows in Ecamm Live, and then they are being called into this particular one for whether I'm doing live streaming or recording, and that's how these sort of little subroutines are working. But even this one doesn't have a trigger, because I'm then triggering all of these through Stream Deck. There's a plugin for Stream Deck called KM Link, and so I use that to just basically trigger all of these. So there's loads that you could do with Keyboard Maestro, and it can look quite complex. But actually, this is all just a series of simple, similar sort of steps. And once you get your head around the idea of building these things up, there's loads of stuff that you can do with it. There's loads of different triggers. So you can do things like you can trigger by different USB devices. You can have like remote triggers. So this remote trigger is the one that you use if you want to trigger a Keyboard Maestro action on another computer. So this is the video that I've got to make, Rich, for you. And I've got to try it for myself, because I do use two computers sometimes when I'm making videos. Like I did one that was talking about how to bring a guest's slides into Ecamm over interview mode, so that basically they can just give their presentation and you could sort of manage it remotely. And in that case, and to make that particular demo video, I just used two Macs next to each other. And so what I could have done is I could have a Keyboard Maestro running on one Mac and one on the other, and then actually use the Stream Deck to trigger Keyboard Maestro on the first Mac, to then go and trigger a macro on the second Mac to do something on that Mac. And it's something that I didn't even realize you could do until, Rich asked. I can't remember where that was. Oh, it might have just been in a private chat, wasn't it, Rich? But anyway, I'm making that video, and I've got to figure out, I can see, I've got to set up a number of things that I can already see how to use it in my, for what I do basically. And so, yeah, it solved a little problem for me, that has. So yeah, basically that's Keyboard Maestro. That was another little rabbit hole. And then in terms of the things that you can do with it, it's just there's just an endless number of actions that you can perform, and each one of them as well. There's all stuff related to, so there's stuff related to like images and stuff like that. So I use it for image resizing and stuff like that as well, or like batch downloading some images, and then like with the push of a button, I can have it basically resize images, move some into some folders, some into another. So when I was doing web design back in the day, I used to use this for I'd have some images. I'd want to resize them all to a particular size to put on the website, but then maybe I'd have little thumbnail images as well. So it'd create a whole nother version of them resized. And you could do that just with a single Keyboard Maestro action to do all of that, the batch renaming and all these sorts of things. It's just really versatile, but don't be put off by the potential for complexity, because you can start like really simple with something just like we did there, which was just basically activating a simple action. In fact, these are the ones to switch between those foot pedals. But yeah, but it can be as simple or as complex as you want to make it, and you can just sort of build up. The other mistake that some people make, and by some people I mean me, is when I first got Keyboard Maestro, I was just totally blown away by what it can do, and then I decided to start like adding this into my workflow. And so I thought about all the possible things I could want it to do, and then spent ages going down a rabbit hole of actually programming it all to do those. And then I promptly forgot all of the things that it was going to be doing for me. So definitely the better approach I found is actually, rather than just try and get everything set up first of all, is actually just go through and sorry, Doc, that is just cracked me up. It's definitely to to sort of build it up as you go along. So when you get an issue that you think like, oh, how could I make this better? It's a bit like that with Text Expander as well. Rather than try and think out all the different text snippets you want to expand, is just sort of go through your day to day, and then when something crops up that you think, oh, I want to be able to do that, oh, I know I've got this tool that could do it, and then sort of build it out slowly. That way you don't end up with a whole load of wasted time on macros that you might not actually be using, because there's so much cool stuff. The temptation is there to think like, right, what can I do that's super cool with this, that you don't actually end up using. And if it's not saving you more time than it takes to make it, then you shouldn't be making it. So I just notice when something happens in my workflow where I think, oh, I need to do this, or I'm doing this repetitive task. Some of the stuff that I've got in Keyboard Maestro I've had in there for years and I still use it all the time. There's other stuff in Keyboard Maestro that I've just had a job that I was working on for like one day, and I thought I need to do this, and it's going to take me X amount of time if I have to do these repetitive tasks. But with Keyboard Maestro, I could just spend maybe 10 minutes writing a quick macro, and it could cut the time, in to 25% of the time that it would have taken to do it. So some macros I have that I make are literally just sort of one-offs that I use to just save a whole bunch of time on a particular task, and other ones are there for years and years. And Text Expander, yeah, it's one of the power apps, really, isn't it? Text Expander, Keyboard Maestro. they just that's the other thing I love about Text Expander as well, is the fact that it tells you, like, and now in the original version you could always just go in and have a look at like how much time it had saved in the lifetime, but now they'd actually just send you these little updates if you don't opt out of them, that says, you've saved this much time this week based on your typing speed and how many keystrokes you would have typed out and all this sort of stuff. It's just a lifesaver. So yeah, definitely a Text Expander fan. I mean, you can do some sort of text expansion on the Mac anyway, but it's just it can't compare to what you can do with Text Expander. And same with Keyboard Maestro, you can do text expansion with that as well. But I do all of my expansion is done with Text Expander. Oh dear. So yeah, no problem, Victor. Great to go, just catching up. But thanks for stopping by, and thanks again for the coffee. Much appreciated. Oh, hey, Sammy. I didn't notice you sneak in there. Let me have a little look at some of these comments. Indeed, it is another rabbit hole. So the thing about 3D printing is I'm quite good at the I'm quite good at the 3D modeling and stuff like that, because obviously I've with the architecture stuff, all that sort of stuff I do with I'm quite used to working in those sorts of things, creating 3D models of stuff. So yeah, the 3D printer, to be honest with you, I don't know why I haven't got one sooner. It's one of those things that has just been there, but yeah, I probably have got quite a lot of use cases for it. I think it's also something that the kids would absolutely love. Certainly, my 9-year-old, first of all, I probably wouldn't let Dale on it. I mean, at 2.5, he's probably a little bit young for it at the moment. But Jasmine's definitely a sort of creative type. Well, they all are really, but she's definitely sort of hands-on creative, so I'm sure she would love it as well. Victor, he's just slipped out, hasn't he? But Mac Sparky, he's great. I do love Mac Sparky. Yeah, he's the name's completely slipped me now. Mac Power Users is a podcast that I've listened to for years, since its inception, I think. To be honest, it's he's great. And who was the other one? There was someone else that Doc mentioned last week who does great tutorials on all this sort of stuff. I've forgotten his name. Another English chap who used to be on Twit a lot. I can't remember his name, but yeah, another great guy doing tutorial stuff. I see. I just noticed the last bit. You've been going through to supplement my great videos. Oh, well, thank you very much. Or is it the other way around? I'm thinking Mac Sparky might have more comprehensive stuff than I have on Keyboard Maestro. So, thank you very much, Rich. That's always very kind of you to mention. Someone hasn't. Who is it? Come on, I'm not moving any further until we get to the bottom of this. Who has not clicked the like button yet? I'm not going to say any more till everyone's hit the like button. I've got to get my little daughter. I've got to get Jasmine in to come and do that part, like she does with her videos to her granny and granddad, where she says, "Smash that subscribe button," even though they're just watching on a recorded video. Okay, it wasn't Kevin. Come on then, who was it? Must be someone else. Never mind. Let me have a little look. Where are we up to? Do you have many keyboard Maestro routines for use with Excel? Well, it's funny you should say that, because I didn't actually. However, what I am doing is I'm creating a Stream Deck profile for use with Excel. And the way that I'm doing that is I am having Keyboard Maestro be the one that I'm using to map to a lot of the keys. I'm finding I'm doing a lot of that now with Keyboard Maestro, is using it to be the sort of link between Stream Deck and other applications, where I want it to just sort of trigger things, but I don't. There's often no keyboard shortcut for a particular menu item in an app, so I am doing a whole sort of pack for that, because there's some stuff that I find that even using keyboard shortcuts with Excel, some stuff is just difficult to do even with that, and you would think like your hands are just on it all the time, but it is a bit difficult. And certainly when I do a lot of Excel sheets that are really heavily formatted and stuff like that, so a lot of the formatting things, I'm not talking about data entry and data manipulation, I'm still sort of fully hands on the keys for that, but for actually formatting Excel stuff, Stream Deck's really good for it. So I'm in the process of just sort of building out that, and I've got a load of those that I use myself already, but I want to make a proper Excel pack that I can then make available on my site for other people as well. Screencasts Online, that's it, and the name is still David Sparks, obviously Max Sparky. So what was Screencasts Online? The name is just completely slipping my mind. Doc even mentioned him last week. Yeah, that sound sample of Jasmine. It is funny. She's just a total natural on the camera, with her and her little sister. We're talking about getting her a little channel set up, but I'm obviously always a little bit dubious about my young children being on YouTube. But anyway, I'll have to think about a way to do that, because they would love to do it. Hey, Kath, great to see you here from Australia. Well, actually, it's quite funny, isn't it? Kath, you moved to Australia, I think, was it 15 years ago, 16 years ago, something like that. I moved to Thailand about the same sort of time, and we're on other sides of the world, but actually we're from 20 odd miles away from each other in the UK originally. It's quite funny. And Miles, great to see you here as well. I was talking about you on the stream last week, by the way. I was saying, what a handsome fellow you looked in your military uniform that you posted. Can't believe it. Real, I can see where your little lad gets his looks from now. It was a cute little video of him that you posted on, where to see that? Instagram? Facebook? I can't remember now. But really cute little lad. Don McAllister. Thank you, Doc. Don McAllister, Screencast Online. Yeah, on the tip of my tongue. Yeah, he's great chap as well. I've not seen him on Twitch recently, actually. I suppose he's busy making all his screencasts now, but he's a great guy. You're welcome. You're welcome, Miles. It's all true. I was talking about it just last week. So that is about a wrap for Keyboard Maestro, because I could just go down a whole rabbit hole. I probably will do. I've been thinking about this really, and these live streams, they always start off with some loose topic, like the one that I said that this was about productivity tools, and I suppose Keyboard Maestro is, and the course and stuff like that. But I'm thinking about having a little bit more structure to the live streams, or at least having a particular live stream that has a topic or something like that, where I do actually go through, and although all my videos are obviously just recorded live, perhaps I could do some of them live. The reason why I haven't done that so much is because I do think I would probably be distracted, because you can see what happens, can't you? I do go down rabbit holes all the time. So I figured if I started doing a video tutorial where I'm doing it live, then it's just too easy for me to go off the rails. So yeah, but I will think about doing some of that, or maybe a specific Q&A on different topics, like Keyboard Maestro or something like that. So still just figuring this all out. Venus Productions, hello, nice to see you. I don't think I know your name. Let me know your name, and then I can call you appropriately. But nice of you to stop by. And you're on Twitch next weekend. I'll have to look out for that. I don't know if I've mentioned this. I'm sure I have mentioned it before, but yeah, that's how I found Ecamm, was through your appearance on Mac Rate Weekly, whenever it was. And it was just at the right time, because I was just about pulling the last few remaining strands of hair out that I had, going down the OBS route. And then you just mentioned it on Mac Rate Weekly, and I thought, oh, might as well check that out. And never looked back, obviously, from Ecamm Live since then. So yeah, it's definitely you that got me into all of this. And Collie's back. Hang on a minute. You never asked permission to drop out. What's going on here? All right, I'll forgive you. Yeah, so I guess that is the thing, isn't it? I mean, a lot of my videos, to be honest, come about because of something that somebody's asked in either the Ecamm group or the Let's Get Live group or something like that. And so I do just sort of do the videos. And it would actually be a thing to basically say, turn up with your problems or challenges related to Ecamm, Keyboard Maestro, things like that, and then just sort of do them on the live stream, because that's pretty much what I do anyway with the videos. I don't do like a lot of does it tell? I don't do a lot of prep or anything for my videos. I literally just sort of sit down and think, right, well, how would I answer this question, and then just sort of launch into it. So no problem, Jeff. Great for you to stop by. I know it's very late there, midnight, I guess, in the UK. So yeah, thank you as always for popping by. Yeah, so that's definitely yeah, I'll have to think about that. I might do it on a different day as well, sort of have one that's my sort of regular live stream. The idea about this live stream was always that it was going to be sort of my progress as I try to get to my 100 videos in 100 days, and then that extended to 365 videos in 365 days. So I might sort of keep this one the same, and then yeah, have a sort of separate Q&A one or something like that. Don't know. I'll have to give it some thought. So there you go. How is the Twitter 100 challenge going? Well, to be honest with you, I've fallen off it a little bit. The idea when I started that was for me to get more into posting on Twitter, and I just sort of, in the same way that I've dropped the ball on my YouTube videos for the past. It's actually, I'd say it's 6 weeks now that I've not been posting consistently. And I mentioned in this in Doc's group, where I said what I wanted to work on by the end of the year was my consistency, and everyone sort of laughed because I guess they figured that I was posting quite a lot. But I've not been consistent at all for 6 weeks. That is just the fact. Now I've had very good reasons for that in my mind, yeah, and the Twitter 100 kind of came just at the sort of almost the start of that process as well, and so unfortunately for the past 2 weeks I haven't really been posting to Twitter regularly, certainly not every day either. So yeah, and it's kind of like, yeah, that's no excuse for it really. I just haven't made the effort to keep that up and to post consistently for that. So yeah, unfortunately I've fallen off the bandwagon a little bit with that one. But yeah, the videos will be getting back. I've been doing quite a lot in the background working on that, and I shall probably get back to Twitter. In fact, I actually, 2 days ago, was it? I turned off my Twitter. Obviously, you track how many days in the Tweet 100 challenge, which the idea was, for those who don't know, is basically just to tweet every day for 100 days with something meaningful. I was always doing cross-posting of stuff, of my videos and stuff like that, but that wasn't really engaging with people on Twitter, really, was it? It was just automated. So the Tweet 100 thing for me was about actually just becoming more active and actually, I suppose, embracing Twitter as a platform. I used to use Twitter 2007, 2008, and I went down a big Twitter rabbit hole, and I stopped using Twitter after about 12 months. But I came back to it for the channel to just sort of post videos and stuff. And so I wanted to get back into using Twitter, but using it in a bit more of a manageable way than I did all those years ago. But yeah, as I say, I've just sort of fallen off it a little bit. But the way that Tweet 100 worked is every day you should also change your handle to 1/100 on day 1 to 100/100 on day 100. And I actually just removed that from my handle. In fact, was it 2 days ago or yesterday? Just because I haven't been keeping up with it. And so I'd lost track of even what day I was on. So I failed at that. So people who think that I'm consistent at everything, think again. There's some things that I obviously haven't got the full commitment to. And so I didn't follow through with it. But I have been sort of getting more into the idea of using Twitter. And so even though I've been tweeting on every single day, I am getting more of an idea into my head as to what element of my voice I'm going to use on there. So whereas just sort of blanket cross-posting everything, which I was doing originally from here to Instagram to Facebook to everything, I'm just trying to figure out what is the correct sort of way to communicate on these platforms. And obviously Instagram is more sort of photo related or image, whereas text is more for Twitter and things like that. So I'm trying to think about ways to use them properly, basically. So I'm not just spamming everyone on everything with all of my stuff exactly the same everywhere. So I will be coming back to it. I did actually also turn on, thanks Eileen, by the way. I know she's not here, but Eileen posted a really good video in the Let's Get Live group about Twitter and about the Twitter, what's it called? Twitter for Professionals, is it? Something like that. And where you've got some different things that you can do with it from there, but also you can turn on the tip jar. Now, I haven't got many subscribers or followers. I'm not even using the right terminology on Twitter. But you don't need to have any particular number, it seems, to turn it on. So I have now got a tip jar open on Twitter. So we did set that up yesterday or the day before, whenever Eileen posted a video about it. Not that that's a motivator, because I'm not expecting, these are all these things that are related to monetization. They're all just, they're all just there, aren't they? I even set up a Patreon the other day just because I thought, well, there might be, I do like Buy Me a Coffee. I do, I use Buy Me a Coffee, obviously, and that's the one that I put up. But there are some people who are Patreon users who, if they've already got a Patreon account, they might prefer to support creators through that avenue. So I thought I should at least put one up. It's a bit like people who have the option on Buy Me a Coffee to have, multiple different payment options, but don't use them all. It's, in fact, I've said that. I think I've got them both activated. Anyway, it's just giving other people more options, really, isn't it? So I did set up a Patreon, although I do prefer the payment terms on Buy Me a Coffee. One thing that I don't like on Buy Me a Coffee, though, while we're talking about it, is you can set different levels of membership, obviously, and then you can also give people discounts to different things. So like, for example, if you go onto my Buy Me a Coffee or my website, you can book a consultation call with me where talk about tech issues and stuff like that. So I've had quite a few people where I've had calls with them to help them out with stuff. And you can book that on the Buy Me a Coffee, or you can book it on my website. But one of the sort of perks, if you like, of being a regular member on my Buy Me a Coffee it's supposed to be at the $5 level and a $10 level. At the $10 level, you get a discount. So instead of being $150 an hour, it's $110 an hour. And the idea was that, well, it's, there as a thank you to people who are a subscriber at that level. But I'll tell you a little trick if you want to really use it, is that there is no way that in Buy Me a Coffee as the creator you can differentiate between those two levels. So when I created the thing, which is, you can go and just book the Zoom call all on there, all the payments done through Buy Me a Coffee, and you book the call and the time, and that's all scheduled to Calendly and whatever, it's $150. But if you also have the option then in Buy Me a Coffee to say, oh, I want to offer this at a discount to members, but they apply it to every single membership level. So although on my two membership levels, one of them says you get discounts and the other one doesn't, the lower level doesn't get the discount. Actually, if you're on the lower level, the discount code's automatically applied. So that's a bit of an oversight on their part. I've actually already emailed them about it, but I haven't got an answer back from them. And I don't know if that's because they haven't got an answer for me, because they have been quite responsive with every other question that I've asked them. So that's a little bit a bit of an issue, really. They need to work on their on those sorts of things. But it is quite a young product, really, Buy Me a Coffee. So I guess there is, they are adding new features all the time and stuff like that. But that is one thing about Buy Me a Coffee, where Patreon is a little bit better, I suppose. But the payment terms on Buy Me a Coffee, i.e. instant, are definitely better than Patreon, where you have to obviously wait till the next billing cycle, and then I think they pay you out within X number of days. But anyway, let me have a little look through some of these comments. I saw that comment in the Let's Get Live group. Yeah. Paul said, I'm like the Ecamm tooth fairy. You think of a problem before you go to bed, and I've got a video when you wake up. That's one of the benefits of time zones. I do actually love time zones can work really well. They can be a total pain in the backside sometimes, but they can also be really helpful. And some of the stuff that I'm working on outside of the channel, the stock trading company that we have, then we're working with the US stock market, but then we've got servers in the UK that are doing a lot of data processing, and then I'm over here in Thailand, and so it means that there's data comes in like overnight, and then it's all processed, and then the next day we've got like the sort of whole day to take action before the stock market in the US opens. So it works really, really well for that. And it's also good when you've got like different people working in different time zones, and you're sort of working in parallel, but also there's some stuff that needs to get done before the next thing can get done, sort of thing. It works really well just having people, where, one person's just finishing their work when someone else is getting up. So I have a lot of things where, like, I have a meeting at the moment every day where I'm here, then we've got some developers in Pakistan, and then we've got our database admin partner in the UK. And so it's all just sort of works out well. We have a call where it's 3 o'clock for me, 1 o'clock for them, and 8 o'clock in the morning for the guy in the UK. We have the meeting, and then that's it. Everything just all gets sorted all on these different time zones. So it can work really well at times. But yeah, I definitely have that advantage, Paul, having the hours when everyone else is asleep in the US. I wondered what the context of that was. That was about the Q&A. Well, thank you very much, Miles. I appreciate the comment. Vlogmas start date is December the 1st. The clue is in the name. Vlogmas, Christmas, is December the 1st till December the 31st. Am I streaming to Twitter? I am streaming to Twitter, actually. As we speak, I am streaming to Twitter. And let me say, it says lost connection. Let me have a little look. Let's have a little look at this. Yeah, we are streaming live to Twitter, and there is, oh my God, there is almost one person watching. As in, there are no people watching. So that is the reach that I have, and the reach and influence I have on Twitter. So yeah, have I ever used Prezi? Do you know what? I haven't used Prezi. I've seen Prezi. I've seen demos of it, and I've seen it with Ecamm. It just never appealed to me, actually. It didn't appeal with my sort of style of, I guess, sort of my style of presentations and things like that. So I just use Keynote, to be honest with you. And the way that you can, I do get that Prezi, you can. Michael's watching on Twitter. The thing about Twitter is, by the way, just a bit of a digression again. The thing about Twitter is, I understand that there's a bit of an issue with comments on Twitter. So if somebody types something, let me just type test on Twitter, test comment. Now it shouldn't actually come up on. Let's have a little look. Let's see if it actually comes up. It's just said. I've just seen that you've just joined on there. So yeah, it's the comments don't come up on in Ecamm, or at least don't come through Restream. So yeah. So back to Prezi though. Yeah, I've never used it. I've seen the demos, but the style of things that you do with it just doesn't necessarily gel with me. That doesn't mean that it's not good, and it could well be, because this thing has happened before, that I've totally missed the point of it. But I just find that I can do all of the stuff with Ecamm and with PowerPoint, and not PowerPoint, although you can use PowerPoint, with Keynote, than I can with that I want to do for presentation stuff, like especially when I'm presenting into Zoom or when I'm doing course material. So with Keynote, I can just sort of bring things over the top of my screen, or I can have stuff that seems like it's behind me as well, and so that you can create these sort of like immersive experiences. So yeah, I've not actually used Prezi though. Doc was actually interviewed. I think Doc did a whole interview with Prezi, like for them. So I confess I didn't watch it actually. But I should probably go back and watch it. But no, I didn't see that one. But yeah, anyway, another digression. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Vader. So Vader's. I tell you why the confusion might be, because I know that the docs, the documents that were linked in the LGL group were actually for Vader, weren't they? And we'd said like, oh, you can actually use them for beach. You could use them for Vlogmas. Getting totally confused with myself then. For Vlogmas, are you going to do pre-records or live videos? I'm going to pre-record them actually, and I mentioned this earlier, and that what I was planning on doing was recording them all on my iPad and editing them on my iPad, so actually doing some editing, and that was going to be my approach. But then when Ecamm announced that they're going to be doing Ecamm Vlogmas, I figured I need to do something with Ecamm, so I've gone a little bit back to the drawing board on that. I still might going to do the editing though, I think, just to challenge myself, because I hate editing. Let me have a little look where we're up to. Ever used mind mapping apps and presentation? And mind mapping apps. I have used mind mapping apps. So there's MindNode is one that I used for ages. Although I've tended to now actually, with the sort of note taking apps on the iPad, I've tended to sort of do things like that. But yeah, MindNode was always the one that I used. I haven't actually used it for a while though, thinking about it. Now you mention it, but yeah. So have I ever used mind mapping apps and presentations? So how, like, actually doing the mind mapping in a presentation, do you mean, or not sure about that. Let me have a little look. How do I set up my streams? Is it just Restream? It is just Restream, yeah. And I stream to Facebook. I don't know why I'm doing this. I stream to Twitch, and I still do this every week, even though I'm not active on Twitch. I'm not building an audience on Twitch. The only people who follow me on Twitch is 2 people who also follow me on YouTube and watch on YouTube. So it's a bit pointless. And I think I did it when I realized, it was one of those things when I started the channel, I realized, oh, you can stream to multiple places. It just seemed to me at the time like, oh, well, of course I might as well do that then. And you could get a free Restream account. I think I actually now pay for a Restream account because I want to stream to my Facebook page. So this is streaming to my Facebook page as well. So it's streaming to my Facebook page, my Twitter, my Twitch, and to YouTube. Is there a point? There's a point to it being on my Facebook page, because I do want to have to build stuff on my Facebook page, but I could always post it after the fact there. And I do get some people who come and watch on there, but most of the people watching here are watching on YouTube. There's not many sort of Facebook comments coming in, so yeah, it's basically all YouTube. So, oh, hey, Orbs, always great to see you. Oh, did I just cut off the? Hang on a minute, I think I might have cut off. Great to see you, Aubrey. I just think I've missed the end of Miles's question there. Oh, I see. Right. So you wait for me. I'm the guinea pig. Well, I'm happy to be the guinea pig and test something out before you take the plunge. But yeah, I do use Restream. So I don't know if that's what you're referring to actually. Restream. So yeah, there is, with the free version, you can basically stream to most of the platforms. The only thing that you have to pay for, or that I needed to pay for, was to be able to stream to my Facebook page. I could stream to my Facebook profile, my regular profile, but I wanted to stream into just my Facebook page for Take One Tech. So that's what I ended up paying for. But you can do a lot with just the free version, to be honest. But I don't know why I am actually, I don't know why I'm actually streaming to Twitch for. I'm not active on Twitch. I don't watch anybody else on Twitch. I'm not trying to build an audience. I mean, I probably should stop it as of next week. In fact, let's do that, shall we? Because it's just pointless. And the streams on Twitch stay up there for, I think, 7 days or something like that. And then you actually have to go in, and there's work involved to keep them there like all the time. So you have to go into the manager, and then you sort of change it to be you do it as a, what's it called, this is how into it I am. I always forget the terminology. You have to do it as basically like a clipping, but you can just sort of clip the whole thing and then just have it there, so that you can on Twitch go back and see all of my previous live streams. nobody does because I'm not there. I'm not active. I'm not building a following there. So, and it's actually something that takes a little bit of time every week because I have to go in and do it. And for what? It's probably pointless. So I should just take them down, or just at least stop doing it. Basically, as I say, going to Facebook, I do think it's quite good to have these things there, although people can find it on. I'm probably talking myself out of Restream as we speak, live on air. Streaming to Twitter. So why am I doing that? Well, I was doing that because it was about the time that, it's as of the time that Twitter allowed you to start streaming back to it again, and obviously Ecamm integrated it, although I'm doing it through Restream. And then it was when I was thinking, well, I'll be a bit more active on Twitter, and so streaming it to there as well. But as we've just proven, there's nobody actually watching there, and even if they are and they comment, the comments don't come through to through Restream, and I think that is an issue with Twitter as opposed to Restream, whereby it's just not sort of mapping the comments over or something like that. So. What I should really do is, if I'm going to be streaming to these other platforms, and it's always kind of been in the back of my mind, is do dedicated content specifically for them. So there's some, like the channel, obviously the YouTube channel is more kind of like, it is obviously intended to be tutorials and stuff like that. And then obviously the live stream, which is complete free for all. But there is an idea of doing like some other stuff that I could do to just Twitter, for example. So maybe some more sort of, I don't know, rambling thinking stuff or something like that, as opposed to specific tutorials. I could have that going there, or fleshing out ideas. I could do that to the Facebook page or something. This is all just a total work in progress, and I'm just doing it all in front of you. So I'm still trying to figure out how everything all fits together, and the best way to make it all fit together. And also, crucially, the best way to make everything fit together into a workflow as well. So it's all right having conceptually an idea of, oh yeah, well, I'm going to do shorts to Twitter, and then copy shorts to YouTube, and then also copy them over to TikTok and stuff like that, and then I'm going to use this tool for that. But there's a load of different tools, aren't there? There are a load of tools and a load of platforms, and you've also got to get them into a workflow where they just become sort of second nature, and that's the bit that I'm still sort of trying to find my feet with, really. So yeah, that was a bit of a long answer to that question, wasn't it? But let me have a little look where we're up to. What do I use for editing? At the moment, nothing. I don't do any editing, and that's how I started up this whole channel, is because I don't want to do any editing. I am my own worst enemy at editing. However, for Vlogmas, I wanted to just film and edit everything on my iPad. And I know there's LumaFusion, which everyone talks about is a great video editor for the iPad, but I'm already an Adobe subscriber. And as an Adobe subscriber, you get access to like all the Adobe suite. So there's Adobe Premiere on the Mac, which I don't really use. I've used it a few times for a few little things, but generally I don't use it. And then on the iPad, there's Adobe Premiere Rush, which is kind of like, I suppose, like a little... I was going to say lightweight version. It's not actually lightweight. It's pretty full-featured, actually, for the sort of stuff that I would want to do. It certainly would do everything that I needed to do to put together some Vlogmas videos. So that was my idea. I was going to think about using Adobe Rush on the iPad. But like I say, I'm going to have to work in some Ecamm stuff here as well, because I do want to do it as part of the Ecamm thing. So, oh, hey, Steve. Great to see you. Oh, thank you. I appreciate the compliments. It's always nice to see you around, though. Restream. That's what kills me. Besides Facebook, I look at it like I want to organize to where it's in one place. Yeah. So, I mean, Doc talks about this all the time. You know, about streaming to multiple platforms, build your audience in one place, and that's it. And I mean, mine's clearly on YouTube. The Facebook's just there though, because here you go. Let me tell you another thing that I failed at, shall I? So on my website, I've got a blog, and part of the idea of the blog was that I was going to be doing written content to accompany all my videos, because obviously all of my videos, there's lots of information in there that would be just as good in written form as in, you know, video form. So the idea was I was going to be putting stuff like that on my blog. And so my thinking for that was, the written content for there would also work well as Facebook posts as well on my Take One Tech Facebook page for people who are, everyone's got Facebook these days, haven't they? So it would be a good resource for that then. But again, I just didn't follow through with it. So I haven't actually done the written content. And what it is I'm very good with things that, and I suppose this is probably a bit the same with everyone really. I'm very good with things that are frictionless, that appear to take no effort. I'm really good at those sort of things. If something takes no effort, I'm brilliant at it. Whereas if something I've got to work at and there's resistance, I'm not so good at actually getting it done. So sitting down and writing a well thought out, well structured blog post for me is more difficult than sitting down in front of the computer with the camera on and just talking through something that I know about as if I'm talking to a friend like you. So when somebody asks me a question or when I'm making one of my videos, essentially I'm just sort of sitting down saying, hey Miles, this is how to do X, Y, and Z. And, although I don't call out everyone's name all the time, that's what I'm doing when I'm making my videos. There's no effort involved in it as such, because I'm just literally telling a friend how to do something. And that's my sort of view of my YouTube channel. Whereas, if I had to type a long letter to somebody telling people how to do something, it would probably take me a little bit longer. And so that was my thing was, different things for different places. And the Facebook thing was always going to be, the videos were more going to be on YouTube and the Facebook was going to be more for longer form written content. It's just that I haven't got around to writing the long form content. I do intend to use Jarvis to do some writing and stuff like that, but I haven't signed up for it, because I know that I haven't got the time to devote to it yet. And I know that you don't need a lot of time for it, but there's all of these tools that you hear about. And it's one of those things, isn't it? There's loads of tools and everyone will say, oh, you've got to get on this, you've got to do this, you've got to start using Descript and all these sorts of things. And it's great, you have got to, but there's a time and a place, and I just haven't had time to sort of get into them all yet. But the HDMI plugs, yes, those have been, that has been quite a popular video actually, that one that I did about the little, I've usually got one to hand actually, the little HDMI dongles. So that is one of those videos that just seems to keep going. I always notice, like in my Amazon stuff, there's a lot of those that have gone through my Amazon links for those little HDMI dongles. I could write the Twitch processing. I certainly could write a little keyboard Maestro thing to do that. You're right, Rich. But I'm almost thinking, what's the point? Do I need to be growing? Do I want to be focused on growing a video-based audience on multiple platforms? I know that you've then got the thing that, like, oh, if things changed on one platform, you've got the other one. But I'm just not sure that I need to even be there, to be honest. is the thing that I'm thinking about is, do I actually even need to be on Twitch? What's the reason for it? Is it just was it just like a vanity thing in the beginning, like, oh, I can be on all these different platforms? I don't know. I think it was more just a case of, I found out about Restream, like as I was setting up the channel, and thought, oh, this is amazing, you can stream to multiple platforms. And so then I just added in all these other things that I was never intending to be on. I think it's, for me, it's just a case of what's the point in being there, I suppose. I probably will just actually switch that off. I just won't bother scheduling it to go there next week. I might keep the Twitter one for the moment, because I do intend to do more stuff on Twitter. So I actually intend to be active on Twitter. A little bit more active than I am, but I intend to be a little bit more active there. So that's probably the route I'll go down. And very well, thank you very much, Steve. Thank you for asking. Let me have a little look. Oh no, that's terrible. A burst pipe. Things involving water in the home are never fun, are they? I'm really sorry to hear that, Aubrey. Oh no. Well, I hope it's not done too much damage, and you can get that all sorted out swiftly. Yeah, it's never fun. So, Steve, so you're streaming to YouTube. Do you know what? I've just realised. This is ridiculous. I've got my teleprompter right there, and I've got my comments just down here. So I can look down here, and I can glance at a comment, and I can put it up on the screen. But for some reason, I'm still reading them off the Ecamm window over there. What an idiot. What's the point of having a teleprompter right up here with my output and everything and the comments on it, and then looking over here to read the comments? I don't know. Silly Billy. This is much better, isn't it? Eye contact, guys. Eye contact. I stream to YouTube, LinkedIn. It's even easier to read here than there. So I don't know what I'm looking over there for. I stream to YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. I've decided to make content specific for LinkedIn and Twitter, but it's all about workflow. Exactly my thing. It is, yeah. Kill YouTube. You might not be the guy, but I would like to see someone who has a perfect way or reason to use everything. Yeah, very sorry to hear about that, Aubrey. Let me have a little look. Now I am not looking down at the comments, but as soon as I pop them up there, I'll flick through them. I'm glad it's not just me, Steve. I'm glad it's not just me. I got no idea. I should probably just actually cover this window up. Here you go. If I move, because what I've also got is I've got my YouTube comment pop out as well, just in case I want to drop a comment into the chat. Then I've got that open. So if I cover my program window, now I actually can't see my Ecamm window. That's what I should have done from the beginning. It also gives me some more space, doesn't it? So that's solved that problem. Right. Well, that was a bit of a rambling live stream. I don't feel I kept much on topic throughout that, but there you go. It was supposed to be about my productivity of the week, my new tools that I've been using, and then also obviously the course and stuff that I've got planned. My Zoom course. But it was a little bit of a rambling one, that was. So I'll definitely have a bit more of a think though, Miles, about these sort of Q&A sessions where people can come and just bring specific problems and stuff like that related to the stuff that I talk about on my channel. That might be a good idea for a different sort of date with a Q&A. I'll tell you another thing that I've not been watching, which I've got to get back into, is Greg's Zealous app. So that's another thing that I've been meaning to spend more time on. I mean, I went and set up my account before it was it when it was in beta or beta? I can't remember. But anyway, yeah, that would be a great thing for actually doing a sort of Q&A where people could come on and actually just sort of share their screen, walk through stuff and things like that. So yeah, I think Greg might have dropped out by now, but definitely Zealous is still on my list there as well of things to get used to. It's a great platform, that is. So he says, having not really got into using it properly, but I do see the benefit for doing Q&As that way as well. Wait, so what do you feel is your most valuable hardware and software? Well, that is very specific to different things. I'll tell you first of all, the hardware, Stream Deck is just a total game changer. So that is something that I use in all of my workflow through all of my work now. I got it for live streaming or for video, but I use it for everything. So Stream Deck without a doubt. I'm still evaluating Loop Deck, and when I say I'm still evaluating it, what I mean is I haven't had time in the past 2.5 weeks to finish setting it up to actually begin to evaluate it. But yeah, certainly Stream Deck is. Then in terms of software, and if you talk about hardware in terms of minus Ecamm, yeah, but in terms of the the hardware in my studio, the first thing I bought was this mic, the Shure MV7, and I do really like that because I like the fact that it's got a USB and the XLR, so I can plug it straight into my computer. It's semi-mobile, so I could throw it in a bag and take it somewhere as well without needing to have any sort of external interface or something like that. And it just made a biggest difference in terms of, you know, the quality of the videos, the course material that I was producing outside of this channel, but then obviously for the channel and then on Zoom calls and stuff like that. I'm still using my 10-year-old Canon EOS 60D. When I get my whole studio set up, I will be getting a Sony ZV-E10 But for the moment, I'm still using my old camera. So, but yeah, for me, hardware sitting on the desk is the Stream Deck. Now that I'm using my iPad Mini, that is going to, the new Mini, because I've been on the sort of iPad Pro, but I just wasn't using it for years because it didn't sort of fit into my, well, first of all, it didn't fit into this bag which I take everywhere, my little Peak Design tech pouch, but the iPad Mini fits in that. I can take everything in this bag with me, throw it in the car or whatever when I'm going out, carry it around with me, and it's basically got my little mini office in it now as far as I'm concerned. So but in terms of software, so there's different apps really. So obviously, apart from Ecamm, which I use for all of this, there's sort of like core power apps for productivity, and there's some that are kind of, I think of like the things that allow me to get my stuff done. So that would be things like Keyboard Maestro. I don't know what I'd do without Keyboard Maestro for all the stuff that I have to do. Text Expander. Don't know what I'd do without Text Expander. It saves me a load of time. And then I do still have some things that are left over in Automator and stuff like that, which is the Mac automation app. So those are kind of like, they form the backbone of everything. I do use Dropbox as well. That I know that, there's pros and cons to it, but I still do use that. So these are kind of like support utility apps, if you like, that I find to do lots of stuff. But then there's that, like my, the actual tasks of planning and stuff like that. So I use Omnifocus for my task planner. I would be lost without that. That is what I use to use the David Allen's Getting Things Done system to get all my work done and stuff like that. And then there is my notes taking system. So I use NVALT to manage all of my text notes, which I mentioned, talked about all this at the beginning actually. But yeah, so Omnifocus for task planning, NVALT to manage all my tasks, all my text notes, rather, text files. I've got about 40 or 50,000 text files. And then now I've just started adding in Notion as of last week. I've just started looking into using Notion. But then for the rest of the thing, it just totally depends on what I'm doing. Most valuable hardware and software. Excel, I've been using Excel for, you can measure it in decades now. So it's probably like it's coming up to 30 years, I suppose, because I'm 43. I started using Excel when I was like 15 or whatever it was at that time. So yeah, 30 years into it now. And I do use, there's some people who, not disparaging anybody here at all. There's some people who use Excel like for just some, creating basic spreadsheets and stuff like that. I would definitely put myself in the sort of power user bracket of Excel. Do lots of really heavy sort of maths and stuff like that in it, mathematics. Use things like Power Query and stuff like that, which is a bit of a game changer in Excel terms, to be able to reference SQL databases and all this sort of stuff and bring it all into Excel. Do some quite heavy sort of computational stuff with Excel. So Excel is a real big one for me as well. I spend a lot of my time in Excel. Although not obviously for the channel. A couple of people have asked about Excel and if I could do some Excel videos. The fact is that it would be pointless to do Excel videos on my channel because I would need to create a whole new channel for Excel. Excel's just such a deep subject, and to just throw in a couple of random little examples of the sort of stuff I do with it would be probably out of place on my channel. So I won't be doing any Excel tutorials on my channel. There will be some Notion videos. I didn't know how it was going to fit into my workflow, but then once I started getting into it, I could totally see how it would. So I will be doing some Notion videos, probably not this week. I need to get a bit more into it and a bit more into my workflow. But yeah, as soon as I have, I'll get those videos out. But so then there's other bits of software. So for example, I don't really do this anymore as such, but so for 10 years, 12 years, we've run an architectural design and construction company here in Thailand, and so we've built I think 40 houses, something like that, and designed countless others, and designed restaurants, hotels, all this sort of stuff, and so that was what I actually was doing day to day the most for best part of a decade. And so for that, I was using architectural software. I had for that, my hardware was my 3D mouse that could manipulate models and all this sort of stuff in in all 3 dimensions and stuff like that. So different hardware and software for different tasks really. But yeah, certainly for the planning and stuff, Notion is one of those that's up there. One of the things that I'm going to do for Vlogmas, by the way, while we've been talking about Vlogmas, is the idea is for my idea for my Vlogmas videos. They are all going to be on my YouTube channel. However, they're going to be a bit different to my regular stuff, and the idea is that it's going to be a bit more about like my I suppose a bit more about my background and the way that I use these things. So I will be giving some examples of like the way that I've used the technology in my architectural design stuff, in the trading stuff that we do, and then also in the social media marketing and advertising company stuff as well. So how I'm using these tools and like using the video to the Ecamm live to create videos for those different things is the sort of things I'll be covering, and then just some sort of general background to give an indication as to how I became the sort of I describe it as happily broken person that I am, and anybody in the in Doc's group will understand what I mean by that. We're all a unique bunch of people united by our common flaws. I hope that's not offensive to anybody, but yeah. So I suppose that now would be a good time to plug. Actually, by the way, if you are not aware of Doc Rock's office hours group, then head over to buymeacoffee.com/nottake1tech, but Doc Rock, and there you can sign up to office hours. In fact, let me just quickly get that up, shall I? Because it's such a great bunch of people, and the same time, it's about the same time as my my live stream. We all meet up for office hours, and let me just get it up here 1 second. Here we go. The Drop Squad. I can take this one down actually now as well while I'm on here. There we go. So yeah, buymeacoffee.com/docrock, and then look at this. You can sign up to the membership. Get in quick before the price changes, because this is seriously underpriced at the moment. And yeah, sign up there, and then it's every week we have a weekly Zoom call. It's scheduled for 2 hours. They're regularly 3 hours though, and yeah, it's just a awesome group of people all creating different things, all from different backgrounds, different professions, different walks of life and everything, but all there with the same goal to actually get stuff done. And so yeah, I've got a lot of respect for Doc for creating that community. It's not a community, it's a family. Let's get clear about this, about terminology here. It is a family, and we're all there looking out for each other and helping each other. So I know that most of the people that are in these comments are in it anyway, but just for those that might be dropping by and not, then definitely go and check that out. Well, guys and girls, I think that this is around about the time for me to wrap it up, because I have heard my little kids are up and about upstairs, which means it's time to go up and do my my daddy duties. But thank you all for stopping by. It's always great, and thanks for all the great questions and comments and stuff like that. It's an absolute pleasure to chat with you all. And yeah, I will be back. I'll be back obviously in the week with videos, but I'll be back this time next week to give you an update on my course. I am going to, for those who've joined late, I'm creating this Zoom course, and I'm going to sort of go through the weekly update of where I'm at in terms of creating the content, getting it online, and all these sorts of things as well. So I'll be sharing more of that progress with you next week. But for now, though, for those watching on the replay, I will stick up some other related videos over on the right-hand side, and to all of those watching live, I'll see you all later. Oh yeah, I'll probably see you actually. Thanks, Rich. I'll see some of you in office hours tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.